beneficiaries along the week or towards the end of the week, but the key issue is to make sure that we remain vigilant. We have been told by the meteorological department that this phenomenon may continue up to April. That means we need to be ready to face this challenge for the long period of time that is ahead of us. Last, Mr. Speaker, we are preparing ourselves to and every day assessing the damage to see what we are going to do post the El Nino period to restore the infrastructure, because that's a big, big issue. Unfortunately, we have had meeting with development partners. We were with World Bank last week. Some of the discussions we're having is what are we going to do, because we have already a constrained budget. And then now with the destruction of infrastructure, resources are likely to be diverted even further to restore emergency works, to restore the roads, to make them passable. So I believe that comprehensively after this El Nino, we shall have a clear budget and see how to work with Treasury and National Assembly to see that those resources are provided for. And I look forward to meeting Senator Chute and the leaders from Marsabit anytime between this week and next week to see specifically which areas we can deal together. We had a meeting with Mandera the other week. We are having a meeting also with Tana River County, Mr. Speaker, soon, and then we see, and I think that meeting should happen between now and next week, so that, Mr. Speaker, we can iron out some of the things that we need to deal with locally.
Thank you. See, as you know, matters loans are very emotive, especially this time. And if I look at my screen, almost everybody in this, every member in this room wants to speak or to ask a question. So as I guided when we started, I'll be taking 20 minutes per question. So if you have not asked on this question, still you have an opportunity, because there are 6 questions to go. But I have 3 minutes, Senator Sifuna. And let us be as brief as possible. Also, the CS, don't give, just be specific and to the point. I can see like you really miss this floor. So you are taking advantage now to express yourself more since you are here. So Senator Sifuna, kindly.
Mr. Speaker, there is a terrible situation unfolding at the JKIA in Nairobi, where passengers are dropped off almost 100 meters from the terminals with the rain. I want the CS to explain to me the rationale of dropping passengers all the way away from the entrances of the terminals in this particular season when it's raining, Mr. Speaker. We have seen mothers carrying their children through the rain, and the CS is a traveled man. He has seen what other international airports look like. Why can't we drop passengers at the doors of the terminals? Because we already have a security check at the entrance of the airport. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CS, that's a very direct question.
Mr. Speaker, it's not that I don't want to answer the question, but with your guidance, even if it's not now, for future, is there a latitude to ask any question, even where the ministry has not prepared a response? Because I have no problem answering the question, but we move from a road to the...
What has been happening, CS, is like the guideline is members should really stick to that particular question. But 1 or 2 questions really is not a bad thing, just to give guidance, and also because we can't really restrict the members to stick on Kajiado Road, on one road.
No, I'm just saying, yes, I agree.
Just a few, 1 or 2. You can
I agree, Mr. Speaker.
If you are not really still, you can say you will do your homework and then report back.
Not really. I just wanted to, it would have been more appropriate to respond to Senator Sifuna's question under the other question on Kakamega airstrip. It would have been more relevant than under this. But nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, the airport dropping areas are determined by security plans within the airport. I've just landed at the JKIA this morning, Mr. Speaker, and like many other passengers, ourselves, the President, were dropped far away from the terminal, and we had to walk through the rain with umbrellas to the terminal itself. Mr. Speaker, this is nothing just changes because of the rain. The plans are already in place for where an aeroplane is designated where they park. Mr. Speaker, the ones that are able to use the ladder, there's a name for it, Mr. Speaker, that helps enter the airport directly are helped to do so. But Mr. Speaker, in the long run, as I have said before, our JKIA infrastructure is a bit constrained to accommodate all the airlines and to accommodate all the parking that we require. And that's an issue that is in regard to building a new terminal, Mr. Speaker, that I've said over and over again. We are in the process of working on the a new PPP model of a new terminal that we should be advertising on 15th of January. And hopefully, Mr. Speaker, by June, we get the relevant contractor so that in the next 3 years, we have a complete new airport. That, Mr. Speaker, I promised when I was being vetted to come to office that I was going to resolve first the dispute that was there between a Chinese company, Katik, and KAA, whose contract was terminated in 2015. Unfortunately, when we should have built a new terminal, Mr. Speaker, I report to the country that in record time, we have resolved that dispute and saved the country the claims that they were making of 25 billion shillings. Now the greenfield is free and open and vacant for us to advertise for a new PPP contractor to build a new terminal. I shall be saying more later, Mr. Speaker, when I respond to the question of Senator Kalwale on the Kakamega airstrip. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Senator Tobiko, on this question 047, do you have any supplementary question? At least one, because you have the next question is also from you, 048.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to make a follow-up on the supplementary question that Senator Seki had asked on the Isara Mashuru Kajiado Road, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I needed maybe the CS to understand, because I'm sure he's responding, of course, with the data he's being given from the ministry. And we are the users of this road, so I just want to, to give the CS a better picture of that road. Mr. Speaker, this road, although the entire road was meant to be low volume, the part from Kajiado to Imaroro was done by Kenha. Then the other part from Imaroro to Isara was done by Kera. Now, Mr. CS, this is where you'll see the difference in workmanship of different government agencies. The part that was done by Kenha from Kajiado to Maroro is good, although it's low volume, and being used by the same lorries, heavy trucks, sand harvesting trucks. But the part from Imaroro to Isara, which was done by Kera, this is where we have problems. This is where we have bumps missing at strategic places, like towards bridges and all that. And this is also where we have all the potholes now. So when you see both sides of the road, although the road is meant to be all, low volume, you can see the workmanship by Kera was terribly poor. The one by Kenha was fairly well done. So, Mr. CS, the part that was done by Kera
Senator
really,
Tobiko,
really needs to
be specific.
Yes.
Be specific to your supplementary question.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very specific that the part that was done by Kera from Imaroro to Isara is in terrible condition. It has potholes, it's causing accidents, and really this is where we need the ministry to immediately come in, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. And then I had another question.
I think that's a similar question Senator Sekian asked, but just 1 minute on that stretch of, there are dilapidated road.
It's not true that, it's not true as the Senator said that Kena did part of the road. No, it was Kera. Both of it is Kera. But the difference, Mr. Speaker, is that the road to Imaroro is by Kera, but annuity program. Annuity program is the one where we were signing up with a private investor to construct, maintain, and at a very exorbitant prices and cost that since I came to office, I've terminated that program because it was exploitative and the cost. We will discuss that in other times, Mr. Speaker. But the second part now was done under low volume. That makes the two difference. The difference is that the other one is under annuity, the second part is under low volume. And the rest of the answer that goes with low volume, I had already put it unanswered. I don't know whether the senator was already in, but in a nutshell, is to just say that the low volume also seal program has caused us problems across the country. You have roads that before they are complete, they also have potholes. And again, we have decided that we will not continue with low volume seal. Even for the ongoing roads, we'll try to make sure that we do it to the standard level to avoid the situation we are in. And we promised, Honorable Senator, that we shall be able to attend to that road as part of our maintenance responsibilities. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Tobiko, kindly ask the next question, 048.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe the next question was 048. This is the question about the Isinya Konza Road, which we needed to know, Mr. Speaker, if there are plans to upgrade the Isinya Konza Road to bitumen standards, and if so, for the minister to indicate the projected timelines for the same.
Yes.
Following on your directions, Mr. Speaker, I'll just be brief to say that road is extremely important. It is strategic. Konza Technopolis is Silicon Savannah, and it's very important for us to make sure that we support the infrastructure around it. Mr. Speaker, I was part of a delegation with the president that went to Korea late last year, and part of the roads we submitted for possible consideration in terms of financial support from the Korean administration or government is this road. And therefore, I want to assure you, Honorable Senator Tobiko, that yes, the ministry through KENA has plans to upgrade the Isinya Konza Road to bitumen standards and has completed the design and tender documents are ready. The timelines for works will only be set upon us finding the funds. And I can assure you that we are working on it. If I had the time, I'll tell you the humongous responsibility we have first to complete the pending roads before we come to this. That is why, because we cannot finance this under GOK funding, the only way is to work with development partners. And Korea government is one of those development partners we're trying to work with to support this road. And thank you.
So, Honorable Senators, I want to give further guidance that once we read the question by the Senator and the CS response, I want to get specific supplementary question from the Senator, and then we move to the next question. I want to spare 40 minutes at the end of his session so that now I open up to senators to ask any other issues that you might be having. So that we can save time and track the real supplementary questions. I want to now, Senator Tobiko, to ask you a specific supplementary question on this specific road.
Mr. Speaker, you know, it's a bit difficult to be on that specific road because, as the CS has said, they're waiting for funds. But, Speaker, allow us to, make connected, supplementary questions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the CS that on this floor, I have lamented and I have brought the cry of the people of Kajiado, or specifically on the issue of, raising a number of our roads to bitumen standards, particularly that Isinya Konza Road, because as you say, it's connected to the Konza Technopolis, which is the city of the future, and Kajiado wants to get connected to that city. Mr. Speaker, but I want to give the CS the scenario in Kajiado. Mr. CS, the Mombasa Road, right from Namanga Junction as you go towards Machakos Junction. At KMC, there is a road that has been raised to bitumen standards going to Kinanie, the Machakos side. The Kajiado side, there is nothing. Mr. CS, before you reach Machakos Junction, there is another road towards Moa Hills, going to Sonko Home and those environs. On the Kajiado side, there is no road. But to Kambani, there is a tarmac that has been raised just recently. Mr. CS, of course, there is at Machakos Junction, there is a road going to Machakos headquarters and town. No road on the Machakos side. After the Machakos Junction, before you reach Konza Junction, there is a new road. I don't know what it's called. Senator Kavintu can tell us. There is a new road done, bitumen standard, towards Ukambani side. On the same breath, on the Kajiado side, nothing. Konza Junction, there is a road going towards Machakos Junction. The one we want you to connect to Kajiado now. On the Kajiado side, nothing. Then reaching Salama, there is a road going to Wote, tarmac. On the Kajiado side, nothing. Mr. CS, Kajiado has voted for this government. Kajiado has voted for this government. And Mr. CS, this is the government of William Samoei Ruto is the only one that can rescue the Kajiado people so that we are also considered as Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, I want the CS to get our picture because it's painful. Even electricity, it's only on the Ukambani side. On the Kajiado side, they think maybe we want electricity for cows, but we need for human beings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, please, Kajiado needs development. And I'm really praying that the CS will get, and I'm the vice chair of the Transport Committee, the Roads and Transport Committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I hope the CS is getting the pain that I'm carrying for the people of Kajiado, because it's real. And we feel like we have been left out. Thank you.
Senator Tobiko, I also want to understand, do you mean the road is continuous from the Ukambani side, it closes the tarmac, and then the other side is continuous? There is a point of order from Senator Agnes Kavindu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell a senator that most of these roads she has mentioned are not made by the ministry, but by the county government of Machakos. So yes, like the Mua Road was done by county government of Machakos, and that particular road you're talking about, it goes to this church of one of the prominent businessmen in Machakos. He did it personally. So most of these roads are made by the county government. They are not roads for the ministry. So but maybe your account is sleeping on this.
Senator Agnes Kavin, that was a point of information, not a point of order. So, CS?
Mr. Speaker, while I agree with Senator Tobiko that a number of roads have been done in Machakos County on the left side of the Mombasa Road as you go to Mombasa. And I disagree with Senator, my friend Kavindu, that done by county, it was actually done by us, the national government. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. We don't do roads in County A because it has been done in County B. Mr. Speaker, Kajiado does not deserve roads because Machakos has been done. Kajiado deserves roads because they have a right to have roads, not in comparison to Machakos. And that's where I disagree with Senator Tobiko, because it is not Machakos versus Kajiado. The entity that is supposed to develop our country and the ministry that I preside over should be able to look at the needs of every county and respond to those needs independent of what's happening in another county, so that it's not pitting one county as against the other. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't mean that there is no work going on with Kajiado County. Kajiado County is one of the biggest in the country, very, very vast county. That is why even if you do 200 kilometers, they don't feel it. Because, Mr. Speaker, the county is big. A lot of work needs to be done. I want to report to the senator that there's the road also of Isiara, Imaroro, Kajiado, up to Kiseri and Ngong, is parallel to the Mombasa road. But our job is to make sure that we connect the remaining connectors on this parallel road, including the one you have raised. But also to report to you that the road of Ilasit Njukini, that is connecting Taita Taveta and Kajiado County, is under now negotiation to move it from the annuity program that was and deliver it under a different format, which is in this case EPC. And I want to try my best to ensure that we get the contract on site by March. I am undertaking personal commitment and negotiation as a CS with the relevant agencies to make sure that that conversion happens so that we save the country a lot of money from the annuity program that I told you earlier, but deliver that road hopefully by making sure that the contractor is on site by March. So last thing is that I know for sure Kajiado County voted for the government of the day. But as a cabinet secretary, I serve everybody. I serve for those who have been voted for, and I serve also those who did not vote for the government of the day because my responsibility to serve everybody equally. So Kajiado deserves roads for being Kajiado, not for voting for the president, and not also because Machakos are good roads.
Thank you. Because this matter is touching on Kajiado, let me allow the Kajiado Senator to ask his supplementary question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also want to thank the Cabinet Secretary, particularly on the Ilasit Njukini Road, which has also given a commitment of March next year. I look forward to see successful. I go straight to the question, a supplementary question in regards to the connection of Irongai, Twala, Kitengela Road, Cabinet CS. Is there any plans and within the ministry and government to do that road, and particularly also on the issue of a 65 road, Kajiado North roads that are yet to be completed? Please just do a commitment on the same, because it's something that you really understand. You may not need to go back to the office. The Kajiado North 65 kilometers road that has yet to be connected along the Kajiado North, and the connection between Rongai to Kitengela Road. Please, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable CS.
The bypass from Kitengela to Rongai is about 24 kilometers. Mr. Speaker, it's on the design stage. At the moment, we are the same fate that we want to design and see how to raise the funds. Initially, we've been thinking, in the past we thought maybe we should do a PPP from this junction at Galeria, a ring road up to Karen via Kiserian, Rongai, Kiserian, Kajiado to the corner here. Those plans are still being thought through, and whether it is economically viable to deliver it through PPP. But the junction you're talking about, the link straight from Rongai to Kiserian, is something that we are working on, designs, and hopefully we can raise the funds to do so, to make sure that we deliver. I think, Mr. Speaker, I had a meeting with all the leaders of Kajiado County, and a number of the proposals, including the senator, including Senator Tobiko, and the other elected leaders, and there are a number of roads we discussed how to go about it to deliver. I believe that let's first sort of the problem that is the elephant in the room is the pending roads. Once we deal with the pending bills, we'll see what to do. We are only able to do new roads if we have the support of development partners. But the country as it stands now, there is a huge pending bill of 155 billion. And there is another problem, which is committed roads that are about 700 billion that we should be able to deliver. We ought to deliver against a budget annually of about 50 billion. So we have a challenge we are facing as a ministry, but we are doing everything to ensure that we deliver the roads that are pending and see what to do with the new ones that are being designed.
Thank you. So we go to the next question, number 030, Senator Mwenda Gataya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am seeking to know from CS Rons, who also happens to be very conversant with the Tharaka Nithi County. We have this project. This is RWC 150D 474 for the construction of Kayododi, Iriga Chogoria, Weru Mutindwa, Keriani, Marima Road in Tharaka Nithi County, which is stalled since its launch in 2016. So, Honorable Waziri, what measures is the government taking to ensure the completion of the project, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide a timeline for the same? See, what is stopgap measures is the government taking to ensure that the roads remain motorable in all seasons, particularly in Gitombani, Mutindwa, Kantaraki, Kayododi, Keriani, and the Marima areas.
Thank you.
I have a supplementary question, Honorable Speaker. I don't know whether...
Before the answer is given to you.
Thank you.
Honorable CS.
I thought
can you
maybe you could
respond?
answer.
Mr. Speaker, if you may allow me, Mr. Speaker, first of all, I agree with the Senator of Tharaka Nithi, my friend Mofire. I have visited that road and his village when he was the MC of the area, and at that point I was serving in this house. Mr. Speaker, if you may allow me to use that opportunity to just give a global picture of what's happening. We have a pending bill, Mr. Speaker, of 155 billion. 155. That is work already done across the country. That includes 45 billion for acquisition of land and 105 billion shillings for payment of work done of 700 billion shillings, over 700 billion, to complete these roads eventually. Mr. Speaker, we also have the challenge of, for every pending bill, it is accruing interest and other charges, Mr. Speaker, as we progress. So the total cost of the pending bill eventually cannot be determined now because it's a moving target, including claims on equipment, claims on so many things. Mr. Speaker, this is a humongous issue. The President has established a pending bill committee that is trying to look at these roads. Mr. Speaker, because also I know senators across here, and even if members of National Assembly were here, they are going to ask the next question, is that some roads have been pending, like the one of Tharaka Nithi from 2016. Mr. Speaker, some of those roads, if you allow me to just give me 1 minute to read that, Mr. Speaker, we have a problem across the country. Roads like the one in Meru, Mr. Speaker, in the Gembe region, where it was awarded, a road was awarded, Mr. Speaker, in 2016 in Maua, Atiru, Kilili to National Park. That links again to Tharaka Nithi for that matter, 2016. It is incomplete. It's less than 30% done. A road in Makueni, Mr. Speaker, that is Kali, Kikima, all the way to Kikima, Utangwa Township. Again, that is a road, Mr. Speaker, that is still pending from 2020. You have roads like Mara Chuka, which, Mr. Speaker, have been pending from 2018. You have roads in Kitui, Mr. Speaker, that have been pending from 2017. You have a road in Mandera that has been pending, Mr. Speaker. This one is even a challenge, 2018. West Pokot County, Kapsait, Kapsangar, Tapaj, Mr. Speaker, has been pending from 2019. You have Nandi County, Mr. Speaker, that has been pending from 2017. You have some roads in Elgeyo Marakwet again like that, Mr. Speaker. You have roads, Mr. Speaker, I said this one for Nandi of Timboroa has been pending from 2017. So why am I saying this? It's because, Mr. Speaker, when I visit around the country, most of the leaders, including senators, would create an impression that a road is spending only in his village or is in county. This is a national phenomenon, an inherited problem. The road, for example, this one of Tarakaniti, Mr. Speaker, I wish to acknowledge that the Kaji Uduthi Irika Chogoria Meru Mutindwa Kiriaini Marima Road, Mr. Speaker, was awarded in 2016 and has stalled since 2021 following the withdrawal of the contractor's assignee citing non-payment of certificates. The 23-kilometer road project was awarded to Ms. Dawn Woods Company Limited in November 2016 at a sum of 978 million shillings, 662,957 for construction of works and 106,000 for maintenance of works. 106 million, sorry, 648,784 for maintenance works. The contract period was months within the initial date of completion, was 24 months, with the initial date of completion being 21st November 2018. Mr. Speaker, however, the contractor only achieved 10.3%, which translates to 2.3 kilometers of tarmac, having faced a significant constraint in completing the project. The contractor consequently solely assigned the project to Ms. China Jiangxi International Limited, which was granted to allow completion of the project. The assignment commenced on 2nd September 2019 for a period of 8 months, revised the project completion to 1st May 2021. Following the assignment, additional milestones were achieved, amounting to 6 kilometers of tarmac, bringing the cumulative achievement to 9.32 kilometers. Unfortunately, the assignee suspended works at the project on 27th of November 2021 due to pending bill of 121,906,886.08. The achievement to date therefore remains 9.32, which is 37% aggregated progress. So far, Ministry through CARE has since paid a portion of the amount owed to his MS China GFC International Limited, amounting to 38,209,100. This revises the pending amount due to contractor to 89,769,822. The Minister has since advised the contractor to resume works and ensure completion of the project as arrangements are put in place to settle the outstanding bill in the next financial year. We therefore envisage completion of the project by June 30, 2024, subject to adequate budgetary provision and sustained disbursements. Upon resumption of works, the contractor is under instruction to prioritize and undertake maintenance of the entire remaining sections of the road ahead of the main works to ensure motorability and usage of the roads. So, Mr. Speaker, that is the standing with Ms. Jiangxi, Mr. Speaker, under instruction from us that once he resumes work. Mr. Speaker, I want to beg an understanding from the leaders. Some of these contractors we have to literally negotiate. You negotiate and tell them, yes, we owe you 100 million, but take the 30 million, go to site. And some of them graciously have done so. And I have no shame to say most of the Chinese contractors have spent a huge portion of their money sustaining their presence on the ground. Partly because they have good support from their country, perhaps how they access credit is a bit better. Our contractors, local ones, are really struggling, Mr. Speaker, because of the burden that comes with a pending bill, especially if they are borrowed from our commercial banks with the interest rates that are double digits, sometimes going up to almost 20%. Mr. Speaker, I will endeavor, and I assure the Senator that the negotiations that are ongoing, I'll work hard to make sure that this contractor comes on site. Mr. Speaker, I want to also request the Senators, because I've seen some Senators complaining. If some of these works are being undertaken by the Chinese contractors, you should be grateful that they have capacity to be sustained. But some people here, Mr. Speaker, are very uncomfortable with having a foreign contractor not understanding the dynamics that, Mr. Speaker, we have to go through to make sure that those contractors are delivering for the people, because we look at the road itself. In fact, to the contrary, Mr. Speaker, locals, when you give a local contractor now, you find a situation where the locals are saying we want the other foreign contractor to do it first. It is not because all our local contractors are incompetent. It's just because access to credit and the huge pending bill has made the local contractors struggle with delivering this road, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gatoya, can you ask your supplementary?
Honorable Speaker, I have a supplementary question that one of my constituencies in Tharaka County has been politically been neglected in terms of Honorable Speaker, I think I need your protection. There's a lot of round consultations all over.
Senator Duro, kindly, Senator Mofa is unable to concentrate.
So, Honorable Speaker, one of my constituencies has suffered some historical injustices in terms of road network, and that constituency is the Raka constituency. I have 3 constituencies in my county, which is Mara constituency, Chukagambangombe constituency, and Tharaka constituency. The Tharaka constituency, Honorable Speaker, has for a long period of time suffered some historical injustices in terms of road network. I don't know what logic is there that a road is constructed from my neighboring county. When it reaches the border to the Tharaka constituency, that road ends there. There is one example of that road which originates from Meru County to some part of the Tharaka constituency, a place called Murkomen, and that road is stopped there. There is another road, Honorable Speaker, which originates from Maua, bitumen standard, up to Atidini. That road, when it reaches Tharaka constituency, that road is stopped there. The only road which has been, which Tharaka constituency has seen, is the road from Gatonga to Chakariga, which has also stopped. That road was launched, I think, 2014. Up to now, that road is not even motorable. So the Tharaka constituency, Honorable Speaker, I think I would request to know from Honorable Minister, why has Tharaka suffered those historical injustices in terms of road network for the last 60 years down the line? And what plans does the ministry have to make sure that the roads that are heading just at the exact bond of the Tharaka constituency extends to those areas that need those bitumen standards? There is that Murkomen road which is supposed to connect Murkomen all the way to Gachiongo. It's supposed to go all the way to Nkondi, to Marimant, and join the Tharaka University. There is also that road which is supposed to come from Gatidini all the way to Gachiongo, to Murkomen, and join the other road which is supposed to join the Tharaka University. What measures is the ministry trying to put in place to make sure that the Tharaka constituency enjoys the very best road network just like any other constituency in this country?
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, while I may not have an answer as to why Tharaka County has been marginalized in the past, and Mr. Speaker, I've seen some people being very jittery when I attribute historical problems like the ones the Senate has done to past governments. I see people being very jittery. That's a fact. It's a fact that Tharaka County has been marginalized. That is uncontestable fact. But we do not come, Senator of Isiolo, Mr. Speaker, is saying, and also Isiolo, there are a number of places in the country, including the northern part of the country, that have really zero tarmac road network. But it is not my responsibility to write the book of lamentations. We came to office so that we can solve problems. And so one of the problems we have is to see how can we make sure that every part of this country, at least everybody tastes some level of development for equitable distribution of this infrastructure. The same way Senator Tobiko raised about Kajiado is the same way the Senator of Tharaka Nithi is asking. But there are plans underway to tarmac Murkomen, Murkomen, Gatunga, up to Tharaka Road. Mr. Speaker, we are also alive to the fact that I was here with Professor Kindiki, my teacher, the CS Interior, when we went to see the road of Chakarika Marimanti, which is still pending from 2014. And a number of those roads, I promise you, Senator, that in this program that we are trying to resolve the pending bills, will make sure that your county the marginalization of your county is addressed. The other thing I want to give the country, there are so many people who are disillusioned because of the state of infrastructure pending from 2014, 2015, 2016 up to now. I want to give them the word of assurance. The government of President William Ruto and the Ministry of Transport and Roads and Transport under my watch is doing everything possible, working with our development partners. You've seen the progress we've made, especially with the support we are receiving from the multilateral agencies, World Bank and IMF, that you saw this week. The president has sent me to also talk to Chinese government, and I've been there 3 times. Mr. Speaker, I have acquired the notoriety of being sort of closer to the Chinese administration because a greater portion of these roads are being delivered by contractors from China. There's a program we're working together. This program, Mr. Speaker, should give us hope that in the next 2 or 3 months, most of these roads should be able to, we should be able to resume most of these roads. And I can assure most of the senators here that by the time you go to the next election, we will have done significant progress in terms of sorting out the pending roads across the country. I'm working very hard, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, infrastructure projects are not like instant coffee, where you brew it at a press of a button. You have to really work hard to plan, strategize, negotiate financial support. You've seen the president traveling out of the country on and off. The Speaker, let me say this. I went with the president this weekend to Europe, and for 3 nights that we were out of the country, we slept in the plane 2 nights. So there's only 1 night we slept in Europe. And the negotiations we were making, Mr. Speaker, is massive on matters infrastructure, and you will be seeing the results. So because these things require careful planning, one philosopher said that it's better to take 1 year planning and deliver in 6 months than to try to do things quickly in 3 months and fail to deliver. Mr. Speaker, we shall deliver.
Thank you. And also maybe you have informed Senator Mofaya that it is not Meru which has marginalized Tharaka, but the previous governments.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, it's right. The same way I told Senator Tobiko that the absence of roads in Kajiado has nothing completely with leadership or the people of Machakos, it's the same way I'll say that Tharaka Nithi County's marginalization has absolutely nothing, Mr. Speaker, to do with you specifically and to the people of Meru and the leadership of Meru. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Let's get the next question from Senator Murango. Now, Senator MATIANG'I, you are representing your colleague.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm holding brief for Senator Murango, who's attending an opening ceremony in his county. Mr. Speaker, I would want the CS to tell us what corporate social responsibility activities have been done for the local communities by the contractors undertaking road construction projects in Kirinyaga County, and B, could the contractors, through the Ministry of Education, consider making infrastructural improvements in at least 1 public primary and secondary school in the project area as part of their CSR? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, we are doing so well. The next 10 minutes, I'll open the floor up to 11:30 for senators to ask any supplementary question, just general. CS, this is a very direct one again. And spend 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, first I want to thank Senator Murango because he was part of the team of Kirinyaga County leaders who came to my office on 2nd of August, and we had an extensive discussion about all the roads that are being delivered in his county and the CSR programs and the possible CSR program we are going to undertake. Mr. Speaker, I wish to clarify that in any undertaking of CSR or corporate social responsibility is purely voluntary, and there is currently no contractual obligation on the contractors to carry out CSR. Nonetheless, we confirm that several CSR initiatives have been undertaken in Kirinyaga County by respective contractors at projects supervised by the ministry's agencies. The details of their 4 stated initiatives are captured in the table below. The Speaker, for the Stakeholder Corporation, which is constructing the road of Njegas, Mutito, Gatwe, Kangaita, Kiagi, Kianjege, Mukinduri roads. The following are the CSS programs: leveling of Gatwe Primary School playfield, leveling of the Kiburi Primary School playfield, leveling of Kiriandundu Primary School playfield. In the Jiangxi Water and Hydropower Construction Company, which is doing Kerugoya, Kiandire, Kitumbi, all the Kangaita, Baricho, Njekas, Garu, Kagaiko, all the way to Mukinduri roads. There is the construction of modern washroom at Ngaru Primary School, construction of a basketball pitch at Ngaru Girls Secondary School, leveling of the Ngaru Secondary School playfield, and leveling of Kiranja Secondary School playing field. China Wuyi, which is doing the highway, that's Mutiti, Kakio, Baricho, Getuya, Kagumo, all the way to Karira Mission Hospital, Ngurubaini roads. Mr. Speaker, I've done the construction of a dormitory at the Ngaru Girls Secondary School. I reaffirm that due to consideration was made of primary and secondary schools' infrastructure needs in the project areas following consultation with the stakeholders. The contractors have since completed the listed projects and handed them over to the respective institutions. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Matinga, are you versed with those locations? Or
Mr. Speaker, sir, coming from a neighboring county from Kirinyaga, this is my second home, so I'm quite conversant with that.
So do you have any supplementary question?
Well, I'll on that one, I'll skip on that one, and then I'll go to the next question.
Okay.
Then after which I think then I can put one supplementary question.
Number 060.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. May the CS tell us why has the project of the upgrading to bitumen standard of Muriro, Rumandi, Goshe, Mahigaine, Nyamindi, Kianungu, Kiaumbu Road in Mwea constituency in Kirinyaga County not commenced despite the award of the contract? B, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the status of contract for the construction of the said project considering the delay in its execution? And C, what measures is the government taking to ensure the commencement of the project, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide a timeline for its completion?
The Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to state that the project for upgrading to bitumen standards of Sagana, Kadhaka, Diguku, Mururi, Mikaini, Nyamindi, Kimbuini, KTI, all the way to Wangaita roads, Mr. Speaker, has commenced. However, the project has registered slower progress than anticipated, arising from several challenges, including financial constraints facing the contractor and adverse weather at some sections of the project. Given the factors mentioned above, the project has so far achieved approximately 10% progress to date, translating to 5 kilometers being completed to bitumen standards, which is one milestone, and a second milestone underway with works currently ongoing on site. To facilitate its completion, the government has provided a budget line of Kenya shillings 240 million this financial year towards this project. To date, the project has been funded to the tune of 140 million shillings, which was utilized to pay the bulk of the contractor's outstanding dues, and the contractor has since fully resumed operations and is on site. The contractual completion date for the construction phase of the project is 16 July 2024. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Matinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and the CS for that comprehensive answer. I'll ask one supplementary question. Mr. Speaker, there is a law that will carriage that transverses Muranga, Kirinyaga County, and Nyeri County. The CS has addressed the issue of the compensation of the people who have been affected. Could the CS please give us an indicative timeline within which the affected people will be compensated, because we've been promising them every end of month it will be done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CS.
Mr. Speaker, on the compensation, I think I will follow up with KENA, the relevant agency, Mr. Speaker, as to how many people have been documented to be compensated. These are the roads that form the network of the Mau Mau roads. And Mr. Speaker, in some of the area, most of the roads were actually passing through existing road network. A few places where there was a compensation issue. I remember, if I can do it off-air, because it's a supplementary question, we had an extensive discussion with the board leaders of Nyeri and Kirinyaga on question of compensation. So I think it's for us to follow up to see how far we can go to make sure that this compensation. But the good story there is that these are people who accepted to the road to progress without really erecting roadblocks. That is the same. I had seen Senator Wambua here. The same situation happened in Senator Wambua's county, where in Kitui, where a number of places citizens give in as you work on the compensation, and I will follow up to make sure that compensation will be prompt and adequate. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honour CS. The next question and last one is from Senator Boni Kalwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Question number 065 for the record purposes.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, sir, could the Cabinet Secretary confirm that following the presidential directive to upgrade the Kakamega airstrip to an international airport, the leadership of Kakamega County undertook public participation, obtained consent to relocate residents from their earmarked land, and conducted survey and valuation of the land for purposes of compensation? And two, what steps is the national government taking to execute the presidential directive?
Are they two or they are, is that all? Okay. CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to appraise this House on the information sought regarding the status of the upgrading of Kakamega airstrip to an international airport as requested by Senator Boni Halwale and as communicated in the letter to my office. Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Airports Authority received an invitation dated 10th August 2023 from County Government of Kakamega requesting for technical assistance in planning and the proposed expansion of the airstrip. Subsequently, a team comprising of the representative of KAA, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, National Land Commission, and County Government of Kakamega carried out an inspection of Kakamega airstrip on 18th and 19th of October 2023 to assess the proposed upgrade of Kakamega airstrip. Honorable Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the Senate that the Kakamega airstrip was initially designed for DHC-6 aircraft, which capacity of 13 passengers as the critical aircraft, and was to be upgraded to accommodate Fokker 50 aircraft to 60-seater. The biggest aircraft currently operating at the airstrip is Dash 8 Q100, Mr. Speaker, and I launched this service from Wilson to by Skyward Limited from Wilson to Kakamega early this year with a 37 passenger seat capacity. Based on the design, aircraft, and considering the topographical and environmental constraint, planning studies conducted by the authority indicate that the runway can only be extended up to a maximum of 1,400 meters. Ultimately, in the future, traffic may necessitate bigger aircraft requiring a longer runway. Then the airport relocation will have to be considered. Mr. Speaker, the proposed upgrading of the airstrip would require acquisition of approximately 20 hectares of land. This is to allow development of critical facilities as well as comply with the International Civil Aviation Organization recommended standards in terms of critical separation and obstacle limitation requirement. During the site visit at Kakamega airstrip, the county government of Kakamega appraised the team from KA and KCA on the survey and evaluation of the parcels of the land affected by the proposed airstrip expansion. However, the evaluation of the affected parcel of land has to be verified by the National Land Commission in accordance with the Lands Act 2012 and the National Land Commission Act number 6 of 2012. Further, the authority will undertake the environmental and social impact assessment and resettlement action plan for the airport expansion. Let me just say, the technical report talks about 20 acres, but I don't think, Mr. Speaker, we need the 20 hectares per se to extend to the 200 meters. And so I have had a conversation with my team that it is possible to achieve 200 meters fast, even before we're acquiring the full 20 hectares. So I have asked them to go back and check what the limited number of acres we need specifically to fast extend to 1,400 meters, so that then it can accommodate slightly bigger planes of about 60 to 70 capacity. Honorable Speaker, a multi-agency team comprising of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, Kenya Airports Authority, and Kenya Meteorological Department proposes to undertake an aeronautical study to assess the suitability and potential impacts of the proposed extension of the runway to 1.4 kilometers, and in addition evaluate the possibility of relocating Kakamega Airstrip to Shikuza as proposed by the county government of Kakamega. However, again, as I consulted my team, Shikuza is government land under the Ministry of Forestry, Mr. Speaker. And you know, to acquire it will require a big process, including excising that property, that land, that will require parliamentary approval before we can be able to do so. I thank you.
Senator Bona has been very, very attentive.
Yes.
And on two eyes. So, what is your supplementary question, Senator Mboni Karwal?
Mr. Speaker, I'm lost. I'm lost because the minister has come to this house with a casual answer, describing stories of aircrafts, size of aircrafts and things, which has nothing to do, Mr. Speaker, with the question that I raised. This casual answer, Minister, you know, you and I, we enjoy leadership positions in this government. We can talk to each other here and talk to each other behind the tent and talk to each other in our private offices as we do. The purpose of this question, Minister, is for us now to bring it in the open to the public in Kakamega to know the progress of this project. The seriousness, Minister, is that 611,000 people voted for President William Ruto against 955,000 for Raila Odinga. There was work that was done. And now, when you treat us casually like this, you know that on 8th of December 2022, the president came to Kakamega.
Senator Mboni, can you be very specific on your question?
Mr. Speaker, sir, because he was casual.
You know the history of the voting and what happened?
Yeah, I've left out history of
Just
voting.
go specific.
Your indulgence.
What you need to be addressed.
Mr. Speaker, your indulgence, please. If I don't do this, I'll lose this house, I'll lose the public. Mr. Speaker, on 8th of December 2022, the president came into Kakamega and launched this project, and alongside it, commercial aircrafts, which have been ongoing. He came again, Mr. Speaker, on 18th of June this year, and announced the construction of an apron at 50 million shillings. The minister knows. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, on 25th of August, the president stayed in the county for 5 days, and this was the project. So I was expecting the minister was coming here to tell us only two things. When is the payment for residents going to commence? Because from that time last year, they stopped doing end development. They know they are moving out. And two, to tell us when is the construction starting. That is called, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Pertinent questions, and I think they are very indirect.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I feel extremely offended that this is how we are treating the public that gives us the same money that we use to develop projects.
You wait for the answer, Senator Mboni, and then you can maybe react later on.
The Speaker, Mr. Speaker, of course, I have maximum respect for the Senator Halwale, not just because we serve together in this chamber, but because he's at the top leadership of this administration. Mr. Speaker, I have given the answer, and that is the answer. The answer being, Mr. Speaker, that first, we can't go beyond 1.4 kilometers. The international standards that are observed for establishment of an airport, Mr. Speaker, tells us that in terms of the approach to that runway, we can only accommodate 1.4 kilometers. And to do so, Mr. Speaker, we must acquire land. I spoke to Governor Barasa this morning on the same issue, Mr. Speaker, because Senator Kalwale knows one thing, that in the said meeting, the county government offered to acquire the land. And Mr. Speaker, that is why there was a meeting between KAA, KCA, and county government. The answer is very clear. It says, Mr. Speaker, that the acquisition of land can only be achieved under the law through the National Land Commission. Mr. Speaker, the answer is also very clear, that to achieve an international standard, a different place must be sought to establish an international airport. An international airport, Mr. Speaker, cannot be built in the location where we have, and with the expansion that is needed, it would require billions of money to even try to move people. Mr. Speaker, that is our government, Honorable Kalwale. That is the situation we found ourselves. It requires, you were in the meeting. You were in the meeting, Mr. Speaker, and the answer of, Mr. Speaker, 400 million was required in the discussion in the meeting for purpose of, Mr. Speaker, expanding. The county government said that to acquire that land, they need 400 million from KAA and the national government. The president made it clear that the support would be needed, Mr. Speaker, for purpose of expanding that land from a partnership with county government. So, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable CS cannot come to the chambers and August House, a very respectable house, and give an answer that is outside the technical advice that comes with the specification of what an airport looks like, Mr. Speaker. But I appreciate the passion that with which Senator Kalwale is prosecuting this matter. It helps my ministry, if it was possible, that Parliament appropriate some money for purpose of that acquisition. If that passion also can be channeled to the National Assembly to look for the resources. But we know the circumstance under which we are operating, Honorable Kalwale, that we must keep certain level of fiscal discipline because of the challenges we have as a government. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Now we go, as per my directive, I want to open the next 30 minutes to the members, senators, to ask supplementary questions, especially on airports, or as a similar supplementary question, so that we tighten up this process. We asked your supplementary. Just 2 minutes, Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Speaker. Just like Senator Khalwale, I believe with great respect that the CS misunderstood the question that I asked and he answered the question, the wrong question. The question I was asking, Honorable Speaker, is if you look at the design of the terminal of JKIA, provision was made for drop-off points of passengers coming in, not the ones on the air side, Honorable CS, not the ones on the air side. You're talking about passenger boarding bridges. No, that's not what I'm asking. Provision was made for drop-off points at the terminal entrances, but those accesses were blocked. That's what I'm asking. Why is it not possible? What is the rationale? And in this house, we will insist on honesty. I want the CS to be honest to the people of Kakamega. there is no business case for an international airport in Kakamega. That's what you need to say. Say that the president lied. That is what you need to say so that we move forward. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Yes, kindly.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my learned friend, Senator of Nairobi, for the clarification. I understood you initially to be the passengers that are arriving. You mean the passengers that are traveling. Mr. Speaker, there was a security protocol that was established, particularly when we entered into agreement with the UK and the US administration to enable us to have direct flights, particularly to the New York. And part of those protocols was to ensure that we keep to dropping passengers at a reasonable distance to the terminal itself. That is why you see all that area has been blocked. You know, people are dropped a little bit far away, not very far though, but about, say, is it, if I guess, maybe 50 meters away from the veranda. But also the construction of Terminal 1A after the fire of 2014, never put into consideration the need to have a good veranda and canopy that can be people can be dropped properly. So there was a design problem that happened, and we acknowledge. In fact, in the reports of KA, the discussion is how do you now remodify the existing terminals and put it on a canopy that can come way in front that will allow us then to drop people where, a place where there is shade. So that was a design issue. But there's even a more critical problem. At the main gate up there, people have to alight, then they are searched, then the car is searched before you go in. If you, 3 weeks ago, in chairing a meeting that is multi-agency at the airport, I instructed the people working on the port charter and the KA itself also to work towards us getting scanners at the entrance that look like all the other parts of the world that will enable us to scan vehicles and scan everybody without really requiring anybody to alight. What has happened in other countries also is advanced passenger information is provided for before passengers come to the airport. So by the time someone, you know, what other countries have done is that they have a general data of everybody. By the time you're coming to the airport, they know who's in this car. So police only stop a certain car if they have certain suspicion. But in our case, because of the same desire to maintain our direct flights to New York, people have to alight and search. But going forward, we are thinking of how can you get scanners that can be able to check the vehicles on high speed without people being able to alight. So there are two reasons. The other one is security related, but also the construction and design of the airport never put into consideration that very important factor. On the Kakamega, the president never lies and never lied. The point is that, and Senator Kalwale was there, it was a partnership between the national and the county government. And there are certain commitments that the county government gave. In fact, I can say this because I think I was called when the meeting was going on. The county government committed that it is easy for them to get the land, only for them to realize later that it is very costly. It will need about 400 million, which is not available in our county government. So because of that situation, the discussion that we've been having is to find out how can you fast move to 1.4 kilometers, you know, as you think about making the airport reach 2 kilometers and so forth. It is important to have aerodromes in most parts of the country. It eases communication. People going to Kakamega are now landing there. They are home on time. We want to make it a commercially viable airport that can carry at least 60, 70 people. And speaking to your governor this morning, we agreed that we should have a meeting for all the leaders to discuss both the roads and the airstrip itself. And Senator Alwale, time permitting, we should do so before the end of this year. And if there is any delay, let's do it the first week of January or the second week of January. We agree exactly what can county still be able to do. You know, many people in the county are proposing you go to that land. It's called Issue. It's near the forest, Sikusa. But again, as I've told you, I've done my homework and I've found that you will need a long process, including parliamentary approval, for you to excise a forest land to move the airport to that place. And my answer is as clear as it is. And you are always welcome to have further discussion on this issue. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mboni, I think all those answers are very comprehensive, and you know where to go for more answers. You might attend. So maybe allow me to give other senators maybe to. Yes.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, just to thank the minister for this. But Minister, the story of Shukosa, the story of acquisition of public land, I have no idea where it is coming from. Because as you know, in a meeting where the president talked to you, and he was meeting with me, he told you that the governor has found it difficult to raise 400, and could you now talk to him so that the national government will pay half and the county government will pay half. You remember the conversation. So you should be coming here telling the people of Kakamega that the national government is paying the half and the county government the other half, and people will start moving away. But if you are choosing to treat it casually the way you are doing, Minister,
Senator Mboni,
if I don't ventilate in Parliament for the people of Kakamega, where will I speak from? From my funeral?
I know you are talking to Kakamega people now.
Yes.
But what I'm requesting you to do, the CS has requested Kakamega leadership to have a meeting.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
That is where you can converse on
yes,
these
Mr. Speaker, sir, with the respect to the people who vote for us, allow me to tell the minister that the go-round that he wants to give me with the governor, when the people are waiting to be paid, it does not require leaders to meet. We have already been to those people's homes. They have given us their consent. Their properties have been valued. Payment must be made. Minister, have you changed your mind as government on payment of these people, or are you going to pay? If you're going to pay, when are you paying? Life has to go on.
So I think, yes. Let's conclude that matter. And maybe what we can say is that your question is not satisfactorily answered. Then we have another opportunity for the CS to have that bit.
Mr. Speaker, two things. One, again, I appreciate the passion with which Senator Kalwale, and I want to tell the people of Kakamega who are listening, your senator is extremely passionate on this issue. But, Mr. Speaker, there is another step. Every financial expenditure requires a budget. Mr. Speaker, even the 200 million, Honorable Senator Kalwale is saying, Mr. Speaker, that should be paid by us and the county is paying 200. Even that county doesn't have that 200, Mr. Speaker, to pay for the airport. It has extremely competing interest in the other infrastructural development. So what we should be doing, Mr. Speaker, is to first put our heads together as leadership to see how best can we deliver this infrastructure, how best can we ensure that the price, the cost of acquiring land is not exaggerated so that then, it becomes expensive to acquire that land. How best can Senator Kalwale use this passion on the ground, Mr. Speaker, to negotiate with the villagers who live next door and tell them to give way at a reasonable price for us to build the infrastructure. So there is room for us to have a solution. And Mr. Speaker, to remind Senator Kalwale, there is also equally a very high position in this government like myself. And so when he says you have changed my mind, I would retort the question back to Senator Kalwale. Have you changed your mind also as the government on this particular issue? Because me and you are the government. We are the ones who are supposed to work together to solve this problem. And that's why I invited you. We sit down together and solve this issue. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We conclude that matter about Kakamega. Then Senator Abdu Haji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. If I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank the CS Rhodes for the good questions that the good answers that he's been giving this House. And I also think, unlike some of the members in this house, I think the CS is one of the very few CSs who is doing a commendable job at his ministry, which is a very big docket, and considering the fiscal challenges that the country is having, he has been doing a tremendously good job, and we thank him for that. Mr. Speaker, going straight to the question, I think the CS is aware that with the current rain downfall that we've been having, the regions of northeastern has been facing a lot of challenges in terms of the poor roads that we already have, the poor existing roads. And most of the roads have been blocked or cut off. Could the CS tell this House if the ministry has any emergency program in terms of ensuring that these roads are back to being serviceable? Because at the moment, Wajir, for example, has been airlifting food, medicine, and fuel. There's a shortage of fuel right now in most regions, most areas in northeastern province. And also the roads leading to Wajir, Garissa-Wajir Road, Wajir-Mandera Road, these are international trunk roads. And for the last 2 weeks, trucks have been stuck on the road. There is no food, there's no fuel, there's no medicine going over there. We have to airlift. And most of the airstrips in these regions are in a poor condition. We've been forced to seek the assistance of the military to airlift some of the foodstuff with the helicopters, but the tonnage is very small. It's not able to alleviate the problems that we're facing. So I wish the minister could address the issue of the roads in the region. And there's also a road which is very dear to me also, connecting the south of Garissa County, and that is the Boji-Masalani Road. It's a very small stretch of 5 kilometers, and it has never been repaired. And there is a bridge which was also constructed, I think, around 2008, the Masalani Bridge, which is also, which has not been maintained since, serviced or maintained since it was constructed. Could they also, the Cabinet Secretary, address this matter? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Kindly take 2 minutes maximum.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to thank my
request, CS, you know, these are an issue on El Nino.
Yeah.
Just give a statement that will cover all that issues on El Nino. And
I think this is to the for the benefit of Senator.
El Nino.
I think this is the benefit of Senator Abdul. I've done it earlier, so it is unanswered on all the plans we want to do and the leadership of Kenya in trying to facilitate opening up the roads in an emergency situation now for access. And therefore, Senator Abdul, I appreciate your support and also your partnership. Senator Abdul and his team, Honorable Speaker, were able to raise to us questions of marginalization of roads in the Garissa area, and we were able to address it. And I hope we addressed it in a comprehensive manner. On the question of Burchi-Masalani Road, it's a very small link, Mr. Speaker, of 5 kilometers. But it has multiple structures. It needs about 1.6 billion shillings to be able to do it. We've just advertised Garissa Bridge, and we are doing it again on 1.7 billion shillings. So because of the challenges of the issues, I want to assure you, Senator, that you know that the road is complete up to Ijara from Hola. Hola to Ijara is complete. That remaining section of 5 kilometers, we are working on it to get the resources for it. And because of the importance in the Delta region and the irrigation programs we have, we are working hard to see how we can deliver that particular road. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo, I know you are the chair of the committee. So what I want to do, after everything everybody has spoken, you'll be able to summarize, because this is your committee, and maybe what you're asking maybe will be relevant when you are closing up, summing up. Yes, you are a big man in that committee. So next is Senator Kipkolil William Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank the CS for heavily answering the questions from this House, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, you know the CS was my former acting senator. And I recall before he left this House, when he was being removed as a majority leader, he said he will come back strong. And I think it is true he has come back now as a CS. But Mr. Speaker, Baringo County has 3 major roads which have stalled for a while. That is the Anamoy-Tenges Road, Kipsaraman, Bartabwa, Kenyech, Aror Road, and Karandi, Mochongoi, Marikat Road. And Mr. Speaker, 3 months ago, we had a session as Baringo leaders with the CS. And Mr. Speaker, at least I'm aware that Kipsaraman, Bartabwa, Kenyech Road, there is now advertisement to replace the contractor because the one that was there was not able to perform the functions of doing that road. So, Mr. Speaker, my question to the CS is, when are you, Mr. CS, going to begin because this road was stalled for reasons we all know. When is the construction of these roads going to commence? So that then we have, like Mr. Speaker, the road from Karandi all the way to Mochongoi is a very important road, all the way to the county where the CS comes from, the Elgeyo Marakwet. Mr. CS, but I would like to know on behalf of Baringo people to know when the works will begin.
Mr. Speaker, as a resident of that region, I am very familiar with the roads as raised by Senator Jeptumo, who has been very passionate about completion of these roads. Particularly, Mr. Speaker, Karandi, Machongoi, Marigat Road. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, the contractor SBI, we've been negotiating with the contractor to see if he can come on site on an little. So we need commitment from the contractor first before we pay them a portion of what they deserve as part of the pending bills. And so, Mr. Speaker, on that road of Karandi, Machongoi, Marigat, again, I insist that as we work on the reason why it's not there. The Ainamoy, Tenges, and Kapkayo, Kipsaos Road, I want to inform Senator Jeptumo. I was with him 3 months ago at Kabartonjo, and I had promised that the contractor was going to be on site within 2 weeks. Unfortunately, that contractor, Honorable Jeptumo, ran away. Honorable Senator Jeptumo, the contractor, was not willing to continue working. We've had to work together to negotiate an assignment to another contractor. That negotiation is ongoing. I hope we can reach an agreement in 2 or 3 months. Unfortunately, interestingly, it's not finances that has made the contractor to run away. I think he's just having a change of mind in terms of operating within the country and wants to wind up the programs that they have so that he can move to another location. That negotiation is not going. I hope by January thereabout, the new contractor will come on site to replace the one that is exiting. On the one of Kipsaraman, Bartabwa, you have seen that we have up to Aror and up to Kapsawar. We have advertised that road, Mr. Speaker, and as soon as it closes, which I think it's closing in a week's time, I think a week, yes, an evaluation will be done and the contractor will be awarded based on the budget that we used to have with a little bit of enhancement. We are going to give a contractor who is going to be responsive. Again, when I was in Baringo with Honorable Jeptumo some 3 months ago, I promised that I was going to do that. The same thing I did in we did in many of the counties. In Meru, we did the same for 2 roads. In Kakamega, we did again re-advertise a road. In Nandi, Mr. Speaker, we did the same for the road in Mosob in Kaiboi, and the road that comes from Kobere to Timbaroa, Mr. Speaker, in Nandi County is one of the similar roads we have advertised together. So the contracts are closing next week, and then evaluation will be done. We shall award, and I believe we shall deliver, Mr. Speaker, for the people of Baringo. I thank you.
Thank you, CS. And Honorable Senators, we only have 20 more minutes. So we need to be very quick with our questions so that we can be able to release the CS. Senator Olekina, and please make your question very brief, no stories behind it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ordinarily, I would not ask questions, but the matter was determined in court, and I respect the rule of law. I was listening to my good friend, former senator, and at what point I thought he had changed to become a senator when he was responding to the Honorable Majority Whip. But my question to him is very clear. Mine has to do with the road from Suswa to Ngong. Mr. Speaker, it is only 60 kilometers. That road, if you are a frequent traveler to Narok by road, you know, a lot of people nowadays use choppers, so they don't really feel it. Once the Maimahio road is clogged or there is an accident, you actually end up spending a lot of time there. You spend the whole night, you sleep there, and we lose millions of shillings. So, Mr. Speaker, my question to Waziri Murkomen, what happened to the contractor on that road? Why is it that it's only where there is a bridge, it's only where there is a culvert that is not completed? Yet the SGR started and completed when that road was still under construction. It is a very beautiful road, a very scenic road. So,
Senator,
Mr. Speaker,
please,
I want
will
to request,
urge you to be very short.
I'm going
and
to,
brief.
in 5 seconds, I'm going to request the Honorable Murkomen to provide us with clear information on what happened to that road and to please prioritize completing that road, because it is less than 6 kilometers which is remaining for us to have an alternative road to Narok and Bomet and Kericho and everywhere else. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CS, with your indulgence, can we take another question and then you can answer 2 questions?
Okay, yes, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Veronica Duarte.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity and welcome CS Transport, Honorable Murkomen, to this House once again. We appreciate the efforts you are doing in your department, and I can assure you your work is cut out and you will need to do more. So I'm happy that you are a young person, because you'll need to put much more efforts so that we can see tangible infrastructure development in our country. CS, I want to first take up the issue of the annoyance, unnecessary annoyance and inconvenience that is being experienced in Jomo Kenyatta International Airport by passengers who are coming into Kenya, either as tourists or returning Kenyans or Kenyans traveling, Honorable Cabinet Secretary. I am wondering whether you have a stakeholders, multi-agency stakeholders coordination team that gets to process the experience, the customer experience that people are having at JKIA. Because it's been awash in the social media. So many passengers have complained. I have seen students who are being ransacked in their bags looking for new items to be charged by KRA. Is that necessary, and can that be stopped? Because you are able to tell when it's a student, 19-year-old, what items do you expect to find in those bags in order to tax? Can we do things in a much more tidier way at the airport and use a multi-agency stakeholders
Senator
approach?
Veronica, I wish you would be brief with your question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I haven't even asked the real question that I want to ask.
Please go direct to the question, please.
Let me just ask that question. The Mau Mau Road is a low-hanging fruit for your ministry, because a big percentage of that road has already been completed. There is this portion and connection that has not yet been done, Speaker, which would then connect the Kangare Gorwene Makomboki Road, which would give connection to Geturo Gatiaine, and that would effectively connect Muranga to Nyandarua County, connect to Nyeri County, and connect to the Mount Kenya region counties, Honorable CS. when do you look at, what are the projected dates for completion of this road? Why are you not taking advantage of the fact that it is almost done and can be completed and serve over 11 counties?
Chair, I understand the pressure of time, so I'll be very quick. One is that on the issue of Suswangong by Senator Lekina, my friend, I actually feel like I'm back to Senate, especially. I was assuming you are there and I'm here. So on a serious note, the connection between Ngong and Suswa is very serious. We have only 3 kilometers to go. The contractor, Zongmei, we have negotiated with them. They should be mobilizing now to go on site. So a week or so, they should go back on site. And you know that will be a connection from Suswa to Ngong to Emali. That will be a shortcut. You don't have to come all the way to Nairobi City if you are going to Machakos. And when we do, again, as I said earlier, before you came in, Jukini, Ilasin Jukini, it will now help us. You can go to Taita. And you can go also to Olili and then to Arusha. So there is room for doing that connection. It will be completed. The only thing we will do is that we'll put a way bridge. Because as soon as we complete that road, the lorries will want, the trailers will want to cut a shortcut. So that will only be for passengers and smaller vehicles, so that then the trailers will continue using the normal road. On the question of Honorable, my friend, Honorable Veronica, it is true that the work is cut out for me. But this is teamwork. Teamwork in the sense that as an administration, we've come to government at a time that we have to employ a very heavy fiscal discipline. And as you do so, the sector that has suffered most is the infrastructure, a sector that was neglected from last term, you know? And so we're asking ourselves, how best can you deliver this? That's why you see the negotiation we're having with development partners and so forth. There is hope. I see light at the end of the tunnel, that in this coming financial year, we will be able to return most of our contractors on site, and we complete the 3,500 kilometers remaining of the 10,000 kilometers that were promised, that we promised the people of Kenya's Jubilee administration in 2013. I believe this administration, based on our policy, will be able to deliver the remaining balance of that road. I am tasked with that responsibility. That is why I take personal initiative to speak to some of these contractors, negotiate with them, implore them, request them to go on site. For example, I give you the example of the road of Thika Magumu. You know, I had to sit over and over again, despite the termination that was almost to Ensu, and the contractor accepted to go on site. You know, now we are past 30 kilometers of that road. Mau Mau roads, based on your question, so many of them are yet to be delivered. I want to assure you, Madam Senator Veronica, that it is in the menu of the programs that are likely to start in the next 2-3 months based on that negotiation, because most of them being delivered from our friends from the Chinese administration, Chinese government. And I think with the administration helping us, we should be able to make progress. Lastly is to say that at the airport, after that, there was for many years, there have been a clamor for airport charter that brings together all the players at the airport. The problem is that the Ministry of Transport and the KA take a beating for sometimes things that are done by the immigration officer or the tax officer, the KRA officer at the airport. Now, for us to take that responsibility fully, we need to implement the airport charter. And the draft airport charter is supposed to be presented to us by 30th this month. Thereafter, I'll sit down with my colleague, Professor Kindiki, because he's one of the main contributors there, and Professor Ndungu with KRA, immigration, and police in the area, and see how best are we going to allow KAMD to provide leadership under the airport charter, the way it happens in other airports in the world, so that you can aggregate the decisions you are going to make and have a proper channel of decision making, so that then you lay the blame where it belongs. At the moment, it is scattered to this is police, this is immigration, this is KRA, this is KA. We want to make sure that the airport itself, as the landlord and the main owner of the airport, KA, should take full responsibility when the charter is being followed. And that is not new, because at KPA, the MD of KPA takes responsibility or on behalf of other agencies, because we have a port charter that gives that direction. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Senator Wambua. And please be very brief. Straight to the question.
I will be straight to the question. And I wanted to stand here so I can see the CS properly. These days you don't get to see a lot of them. Mr. Speaker, my question is on the Kibwezi, Athi, Mutomo, Kitui, Migwani, Bondoni Road. And this, yes, my friend, sat with me in the Roads Committee in the last session. He understands that road very well. The Speaker, he is being economical with the truth. The Speaker, when he read the list of the inherited problems from the former administration, he included that road in that list. The truth of the matter is that the problem that we have today on that road is a problem of the Kenya Kwanza administration, because the contractor moved out of sight in November after the elections. My question to the Speaker is, when is the contractor resuming work on that road, having done more than 190 kilometers and remaining with only around 17, 20 kilometers to complete the road, and the contractor has moved out of sight? When is the contractor going to be resuming work? The other difficult questions will be asked next Wednesday. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mundingi, very quickly, please.
Asante Bwana Spika, swali langu ni kuwa Embu County huwa tunalima miraa, muhoka, avocado na kahawa na majani, na tumekubali kulima kabisa. Nauliza Bwana Waziri, unafikiria namna gani juu ya kutujengea uwanja wa ndege? Kwa sababu hiyo uwanja wa ndege si ati itasaidia Embu peke yake, itasaidia Tharaka Nithi, itasaidia Kirinyaga na pia itasaidia upande wa Meru. Kwa hiyo swali langu, utatuangalia namna gani ndio tujengee, pia hata sisi tunajivunia kukula matunda ya Kenya Kwanza kwa hii kipindi ya miaka 5. Kwa sababu unajua pale kuna uwanja wa ndege ambaye haitumiki. Tunataka kujua kama serikali ya Kenya Kwanza haina pesa, kama mnaweza kuturuhusu tutumie hiyo uwanja, kwa sababu magari mingi ya miraa inatembea na imekuwa na shinda kwa sababu ya kuwa watu. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Asante. Can we take another question from Senator Kavindu?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you, Mr. CS, for coming. My question is about this road from Caltex, Kangundo Road, and I hope he's paying attention. There is a lot of traffic jam on Kangundo Road, and most of my people from Kangundo live in Kangundo and work in Nairobi. And once they live in Nairobi at 5 o'clock, most of them arrive at home at midnight because of traffic jam. So I'm wondering if what they are doing to finish that road, and if it can also be made to be dual, all the way from Caltex to Tala and Kangundo. Mr. CS, I also want to know the state of the road from Tala, Thika Road. And when you are counting the roads that are pending, I didn't hear you mention that road. And it was started from 2017, and it is still not finished. We need that road to be finished. If you can give me the timeline. And also I want to know about Tala.
Senator, those are too many questions.
Yeah, no, just one. Let me finish, Mr. Speaker, because you have given me the time. We are not going to call him again here tomorrow. Let me just finish. I have one. I also want to know the state of Kangundo Mwala Road, which has been just the way it is from the time of colonial to date.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Those are enough questions. Senator Tabitha, very quickly, one question. Senator, very quickly, or should we get the answers?
No, they were
for not giving me the mic. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Waziri, I really want to congratulate you and appreciate the great work that you are doing. Do not be intimidated by some of the negative sentiments. I just want to ask a very simple question as a Nairobi delegate. International Airport, JKIA, we saw what had been happening. We just want you to tell us what are the plans in terms of the repairs, what are the timelines, if you've formed a committee, what is the strategy and the time that is required. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You're welcome, but that question was addressed. CS, please, very briefly.
First, Mr. Speaker, Senator Kyo, I don't know why he was here. Oh, sorry. Okay, you're still on your seat. Thank you, leader. I didn't mention that road, but now that he mentioned, I think it's the one who is economical with the truth. I didn't use that as an example, but it's a good example of one of the roads that I've stalled for many years. That road was awarded in 2018. It was supposed to end in 2021. The Speaker, 2021 is not Kenya Kwanza administration. But, Mr. Speaker, the good news is that the road is 91% done, and therefore the remaining balance is going to be addressed. Unlike many roads that I mentioned earlier, I used as example, which have only 3%, 5%, less than 30% of completion, at least Kibwezi Road is fairly done. What I was expecting from Senator Wambua is the question of compensation. I used that road earlier as an example of citizens who are responsible, who let go the space for us to construct the road awaiting compensation. And as I said, National Land Commission is working on the process so that we can be able to compensate and know exactly whom we compensate. As unfortunately, these procedures we put in our law make it, create inordinate delay in some of these issues. The Tala-Thika road, I think it was a proposal. It hasn't started. If you mean the road of what we call the Greater Eastern Bypass, the one from Tala all the way to Thika. Mr. Speaker, that road, we signed a memo with memorandum with some Chinese contractor as to working together to get resources to make sure that we create Greater Eastern Bypass, which comes from Tala all the way to Thika itself. On the question of Kangundo-Mwala Road, yes, it's been pending for long. I know you have asked me this before, and the MPs have asked me before. Again, because we have to award it as a new contract, we just need to be patient, a little bit patient, to make sure that we get the resources to be able to do so. Last is Senator Mundingi has asked the question of the airport. I'm sure you are with me. We sat together with you and all the counties. The Embu airstrip is not viable for an airport that can carry goods or fly cargo from Embu. You know that there's no land to extend. You have lived around all place. The topography does not allow the same. The good news is that Embu itself is closer to JKIA. And I think that is not biggest of our challenges. The biggest of our challenges is to make sure that we have either road or rail connectivity. Now bring the goods to rail. By the way, Senator Mundiki, just to mention the House, the world is moving away from using aeroplanes to carry cargo. And now we are, even for perishable goods, we are working on providing what is called cool logistics, so that cool containers are provided for transporting perishable goods, including flowers, by sea, which is now under customer preference in Europe. It is the in thing as one way of combating climate change. So the question should be focused on how do you evacuate the goods from last mile to the connectivity to either the railway or the airport without necessarily having to build an airport where you cannot be able to build an airport. The last thing is on the JKIA. I want to repeat this from Senator Tabitha, that the grand plans is to build a new terminal. And that is my focus. I am very, very clear in my mind. I'm very focused that in the next 3 years, we need to deliver brand new airport. That will be a signature project for this administration to turn around. We can't have built an airport that is older than myself in 1978 I want to be a partaker of President William Ruto's administration's grand plan to give us something new, fresh, that I am very confident and clear in my mind that by the year 2026, 2027, we should be singing of a new airport. That's why I worked very hard with our team and guided by the president to make sure that we resolve the case that was there in the Greenfield to create a space for us to attract the PPP contractor to do this job. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Honorable Senators, at this point, we will not take any, because of time, and the previous speaker had mentioned that the last question will go to the Chair of Transport. So at this point, since we have to complete with this session of questions, I will allow on this side Senator Mazzayo to ask a question, and then the Senator Chair Transport to finish with the last question. We don't have any time. I extended, Senators, I extended by another half hour, but the problem we are having, Senators, is that questions are taking too long to ask. Senators are taking too long to answer. So, Senator Mazzayo. Yes, Senator Kavindo.
And the reason why he didn't answer, I know, he didn't hear it properly because he was communicating with his people when I was asking about the Caltex Umoja Kangundo Road. This Kangundo Road, there is a lot of jam there, and people are getting stuck there up to midnight.
He will answer with the other questions. Senator Mazzayo, very quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have one question for the CS. When is the Malindi Airport going to be expanded? That's the question.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Chair Transport, Cherargei, you cannot have a point of order on the chair. There's no point of order on the chair. A lot of people have been sitting here from 9. Senator Cherargei, I understand your frustration. Chair Transport, let him ask the question, then we'll come back to you. We will come back to you, Senator Cherargei. We'll come back to you. We'll come back.
Mr. Speaker, I believe if I'm given the opportunity, then Senator Cherargei.
Approach the chair. Cherargei, approach the chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, did I hear the CS say that Embu is close to JKIA? I think that was... Anyway, Mr. Speaker, if you look at those people who ask questions, and as the chairman, Roads, Transportation and Housing, I have noted that almost every member of my committee asked a question. And that is to tell probably the department and my committee there is a little bit of disconnect. But, Mr. Speaker, the remedy for that, the committee understand that the CS is a busy person. So the committee made a resolution, Mr. Speaker, that before we invite the CS, we'll be inviting his government agencies, the KERA, the KURA, the KENHA. Yesterday we had NTSA, so that once we understand what they're doing, we'll be able now to be going to the CS himself. Mr. Speaker, it is my commitment as the chairman, Roads and Transportation, before I ask my question, that I will follow up on everything that has been said here today, Mr. Speaker.
And Senator, please be very brief.
Yes,
Go straight to the question.
As the chair, give me a few minutes. Everything that has been mentioned here today, the Kakamega airports, the roads in Kirinyaga, Tharaka-Nithi, roads in Kajiado, roads in Kiambu. The reason I don't have so many questions is because we meet with the CS more often. And Mr. Speaker, Jomo Kenyatta Airport, the El Nino issues, and Narok. My question now, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's about compensation. the people of Wangige, the people of Getaru, the people of Kabete constituency, since 2018, they have not been compensated when they gave their land for the construction of the Western Bypass. We have been trespassing on people's land. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want the CS to tell us when they are going to be paid, and I also propose when they are paid, they should be paid in the current market rate, not the one that was evaluated in 2018. So, Waziri, you can respond to that. Mr. Speaker, I'm done. Or I can continue. Mr. Speaker,
Senator, please, you've already asked your question. Can we have the CS answer?
Mr. Speaker, on the Kangundo Road, I understood. Thank you, Senator Agnes. The Kangundo Road requires dualling. I understand what you meant. The congestion in Kangundo Road is making it impossible for those of you who operate from Machakos to come to work. Mr. Speaker, that discussion is ongoing on dualling that road. It requires significant resources, but we are now at the design stage. Hopefully that design will lead to the proper construction. Number two, Mr. Speaker, is that on the Malindi Airport, you know the question, leader, you know the question of the squatters that we are dealing with. That negotiation is ongoing to see how the squatters can be compensated before that can be sorted out.
Let the questions be answered first. Let the CS answer the question. Is in the process. Let the CS answer. One moment, CS. What is, you cannot raise point of order. Let him finish the question, then you can rise.
Mr. Speaker, on the question of Tala Oldonyo Sabuk Road, it's an ongoing contract, Mr. Speaker, that connects Tala to Thika Road. It is 40% complete. This connects Majakos to the Karisa Road, and it was awarded in 2020 for a contract sum of 1.4.
CS, one moment, please. Cherargei, at this point, I will have to find you out of order. And I'm not trying. This is not a funeral. Okay. Senator Cherargei, I've actually shown you the dashboard.
Why don't you give him?
So, Senator Cherargei, at this point, I will have to ask you to leave the House. Please leave the House. Please leave the House so that we can continue with the business. Senator Cherargei, we've heard you. Please leave the House. CS, my apology, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I left this House maintaining very high level of dignity. And I think that should be kept because we really trust and treasure you as a leadership. And we appreciate your work you're doing. Mr. Speaker, so I was answering, I know there is my colleague, Senator C.S. Ababu, and I've taken so much of the time, Mr. Speaker. On the road of Garissa, I said that the Tala Oldonyo Sabuk Road is ongoing. It's 40%. It suffers the same fate with other roads in the country. 40% of the road is complete. It has a pending bill. It was awarded in 2020. We are working also together to make sure that that is completed. I think, Mr. Speaker, I don't have any other. On the question of my chair, the chair of the committee, Senator Karungo, you should be helping me to make sure that people don't exaggerate the compensation they need. It's just to become prompt and adequate so that we don't have problems where projects are pending forever We should borrow from the example of Senator Wambua and a few places in the Mau Mau routes where people allowed us to complete the road as we work on the compensation, which I think it includes the road you are talking about. We will make sure that we compensate the citizens because we are enjoying the benefit of the road that is herein constructed. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Bwana CS. At this point, we have concluded the question time. CS, I want to thank you for your time and for the answers that you've given to the House, and to wish you all the best in your work. I think I will not add too much on that. We wish you were still in this House, but we also are happy where you are right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bwana CS.
Thank you, sir. I thank you.
Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, visiting delegation of lecturers and students from the Masai Mara University in Narok County. The delegation is in the Senate for a one-day academic exposure. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Senator Narok, I thought he was here to welcome them. But Majority Whip, would you be as kind to welcome the delegation?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it gives me a lot of pleasure to receive, through my remarks, the delegation from the University of Narok. Only a few years ago, Mr. Speaker, we could only talk about the University of Nairobi. The exponential expansion in higher education in this country is evident of the fact that we are ready for Kenya of the next century. I would like to encourage the students and lecturers to work with us, because we are clear that it's not enough for us to get university education. We must only see the value on that education by making sure that at the end of the training, our children are placed in places of employment. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. We have received communication from the CS Treasury that is engaged and not able to attend today. And the questions to the CS Treasury Planning will be deferred to next week, Wednesday. CS Sports is here. So we are going to defer question number 67 and question number 74. We'll go straight to question question 73. CS Youth Affairs and Sports, welcome to the Senate. Thank you very much for attending. Can we have question number 70 by Senator William Kisang, please?
Good. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to put my three questions. Ford, the CS was in my county recently. He attended the 10 International Marathon, and we ran the 5-kilometer race together. And I won, he became number 2. Honorable Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary state the number of sports training camps in the country, and Elgeyo Marakwet County in particular, and indicate whether they are duly registered and licensed? How many foreign athletes are currently training in the said camps? Could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether the foreign athletes are registered and indicate the type of visas they have? Number B, Honorable Speaker, what is the government doing to facilitate knowledge exchange between the local and foreign athletes using Kenyan training camps and to ensure that local talent is not overshadowed, Honorable Speaker? Thank you.
CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for affording us this opportunity to share with the Honorable House on the issues that have been raised before us. And for purposes of the record, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Senator William Kisang, yes, raced with me for the 5-kilometer distance at the 10 marathon. As to whether he won or not, that is a matter of debate another time. But quickly, Honorable Speaker, please allow me as a preliminary just to say that the ministry is restructuring and realigning all our operations to be in sync with the bottom-up economic transformation agenda of government. This restructuring and realignment includes the following, some of which are relevant to the question that the Honorable Senator Kisang has asked. Number one, for the Safari Rally project, we are embarking on a fresh 3-year contract following amendment of the initial contract, extending the period for hosting the WRC Safari Rally from 3 to 6 years. We are using this transition phase to restructure the whole WRC Safari Rally project, and I'm pleased to report that we already have succeeded to return the Safari Rally to its traditional Easter season from June. Number two, on training camps, we are instituting a mapping exercise, including enacting rules for registration, operation, reporting, and monitoring of these camps. On funding, we are ring-fencing the Sports, Arts, and Social Development Fund, the SASDF, to primarily focus on development of sports and the creative economy. And further, we are introducing measures to enhance transparency, accountability, and transparency, including disclosure of any co-funding from sponsors before any federation is funded by government. Those are some of the things we are doing generally, Honorable Speaker. Now allow me with respect to move right away from question number 70 on the training camps. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Senators, Section 46 of the Sports Act 2013, as read together with Regulation number 4 of the Sports Registrar Regulations of 2016, places the responsibility of regulating professional sports persons and bodies through licensing on this Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy, and Sports. This includes training camps, sports academies, athletes, referees, agents, and coaches. It is important to note, for the record, that indeed training camps bear some benefits, including talent development, performance enhancement, skills transfer and knowledge sharing, exposure to international competitions, and other economic benefits. Let me disclose to this Honorable House that when we came to office, we realized that the benefits of training camps notwithstanding, this ministry had not been undertaking the important task of registering, monitoring, and overseeing operations of training camps. This is a responsibility that had been relegated to Athletics Kenya. And obviously, it has been a gap I must disclose to this House. Now, to deal with this aberration, to deal with this gap, I directed the Office of the Sports Registrar and the Anti-Doping Agents of Kenya to immediately commence mapping of all training camps. I'm glad to report that this exercise took place from the 27th of March to 3rd of April, and the primary objective really was to identify all training camps and get together all the necessary information. The exercise was conducted in a total of 53 training camps, and in the submission, the documentation that I have provided to this Honorable House, we have provided under Annex A the information that was obtained from that mapping exercise that I ordered be undertaken. Honorable Speaker, the team that undertook this mapping exercise ran into quite a number of challenges that I have to bring to the attention of this House. Some camps closed to evade access by the team that was undertaking this process, and we noticed a very, very clear unwillingness of camp managers to share relevant information for purposes of this mapping exercise. There was lack of awareness and understanding of existing laws and policies among the people who manage these spaces, and you could notice that there was a lot of sensitivity around issues of doping, licensing, making camp residents hesitant to provide necessary information. There were many instances where camp managers disappeared, making it difficult to undertake this exercise. Nonetheless, the ministry was able to issue 1,018 licensing forms to the 53 training camps and other relevant target groups. These forms have not been returned yet, and that is a process that is being followed up. I want also to indicate that in February this year, I instructed the sports registrar to distribute licensing forms to Athletics Kenya, the federation that is responsible for managing athletics in the country, and a total of 300 application forms were provided to AK. AK has made a commitment to make returns on this exercise. With regard to Elgeyo Marakwet County, it is worth noting that this county boasts of the highest number of training camps in the whole country, primarily because of the incredible beauty. This place is absolutely beautiful, out of this world. I visited the other day and I had difficulty living. And because of all of the popular camps in this county includes Iten Athletics Training Camp, Esemi Athletics Camp, Kechei Ikaika, Volea, Runex, St. Patrick's Iten, Kapsait, Sparks Training Camp, in Kapcherop, Kamosword Community Athletics Camp, Global Sports Communication Training Camp in Kaptagat, Mokuo Training Camp, Rosa Athletics Camp in Kaptagat, and Kapngetuni Training Camp. The ministry remains fully committed to making sure that this whole space is better managed, and I particularly want to add that we have put together a very robust multi-agency team, especially to help us deal with the challenge of doping. And we have also given this team, headed by former Member of Parliament, former elite athlete Wesley Korir, we have given them the responsibility to start this exercise. And I have information that they have already started this process. And among the things they have done is to include a register of athletes, because currently we do not have a database of all our athletes, which makes the anti-doping effort quite problematic. They are creating a database for athletes, a database of the training camps, to encourage athletes to be part of this program. We have suspended the fee payable. There is a fee of 2,000 shillings that is payable for athletes to register to enter the database. We have waived that fee. And so I'm encouraging all athletes to take advantage of this waiver and to register to be part of the database for free. That database will also include the spaces where they train, including the training camps. On the segment B of the question, how many foreign athletes are currently training in the aforementioned camps? As I've already mentioned, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Senators, this is a process that is ongoing in terms of getting the data together. And I must admit to this Honorable House that it is really was an oversight for this ministry not to have put this information together previously. But we are fixing it. I'm glad that we are fixing this. And while I may not with certainty give the exact number of foreign athletes in the country, in due course, and I can commit to this House that within 30 days, after the conclusion of this exercise that is already going on, I'll be able to provide this information both to the Honorable Senator Kisang and for the benefit of this House. Those application forms are already going on, and I'm glad that we have included a whole cross-government effort to include KRA, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the NHIF, the DCI. It is a collective effort to just make sure that this is properly done. I have also provided information there in terms of the time, the seasons, when you expect a lot of these athletes in the country. As we know, athletics is pretty seasonal, and all those details have been provided in the answer. And from the foregoing information we have provided, it's important to appreciate that the peak season of foreign athletes in Kenya is normally between January and March, according to the mapping of the seasons that we have done. Segment C requires me to clarify whether foreign athletes are registered and indicate the type of visa granted to them. Again, as I've already indicated, the process of mapping, the process of registration, the process of monitoring is ongoing. What is important for the House to note is that we have brought structure to that space, and we have also provided resources, sufficient resources to help us manage that whole space. And so as soon as we conclude that exercise, we'll be able to give an indication on the exact status. But as to visa, the ordinary visa, the normal visa granted to this type of visitors is the tourist visa. And after the tourist visa is granted, a license is supposed to issue. And that is where we have had an issue, because that space has not been very well governed. And as I've said, it is something we are fixing. We also have every intention of making changes to the policy and legal framework by taking a fresh look at the law to manage this space better as Kenya becomes more and more attractive to foreign agents and foreign athletes. Segment D is asking information on the exchange between local and foreign athletes using Kenyan camps and ensuring that local talent is not overshadowed by our visitors or our foreign friends. Honorable members, in order to ensure that knowledge exchange occurs between the two segments of local and foreign athletes using our camps, and to prevent what has been described as overshadowing of local talent, we intend, and we are already doing this, to invest heavily in licensing, making sure that there's collaboration, there is synergy in that whole ecosystem between the camps, the Kenya Academy of Sports, the State Department of Immigration, and education institutions where a lot of athletes are domiciled. We are also developing policy guidelines on this whole area of camps and reviewing the Sports Act and the National Sports Policy to manage that whole ecosystem better. But I can say, even for now, that there is a very symbiotic relationship between our local athletes and foreign athletes. We have had some really, really top-level elite athletes like Mo Farah training here with us, and definitely it has benefits of the two sets of athletes training together, besides the fact that under our sports safari project, where we are using sports to promote tourism, this also encourages, helps to market our country and attract increased number of visitors, promoting areas like Elgeyo Marakwet and other parts of the country to the outside world. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Senator Kisang, before you ask your supplementary question, I would like to give this opportunity to Senator Olekina to give some remarks to the delegation of lecturers and students from Masai Mara University, Narok. Please, Senator Olekina.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me appreciate you for your magnanimity in allowing me to welcome the students and the leaders from Masai Mara University. I want to encourage them, and as you are visiting here today, this university has turned Narok into the go-to place. Properties in Narok, the prices have now escalated because of the fact that we have a university. I just want to encourage you and to advise you that when you're visiting here for an academic exercise, please go back to Narok, knowing very well that you're fully represented. Ensure that you engage the businesses in Narok community, all the businesses in Narok, so that you can get internships, so that you can be able to ensure that when you're in college, before you graduate, you've already lined up your job. So I want to encourage you to continue, and others who are not here, to always come and visit. But most importantly, ask yourself, what is in it for me? What is my visit here for? Here we see us arguing. I'm sure you are entertained with a back-to-back argument between the senator for Nandi, but that is normal. That is representation. Maybe the senator felt like there was something which he really needed to do. You need to take this opportunity to learn, and I thank you for coming, and I will definitely be visiting the university so that we can engage to see how you can create opportunities for yourself within the businesses that surround Narok County. We don't need to go to Nairobi to look for jobs. We can create, we can realign the existing resources. I know the former chancellor, who had a lot of challenges, had started a cooperation with the Chinese to be able to produce medicine. I hope that the instructors who are here or the lecturers who are here can continue, engaging further in collaboration with other universities abroad so that we can be able to make Masai Mara University a go-to place, and Masai Mara University can be able to actually now begin packaging perfumes. They can package a lot of other things because of our environment. Otherwise, I thank you, and I welcome you again.
Thank you, Senator Olekina. What is your intervention, Senator Sifuna? Senator Kisang, what is your supplementary question?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you realize that two of the questions are not yet answered, but I'll wait for the 30 days the CS has requested, because you noticed that he said they started the assignment around February, March, but they'll complete in due course. Honorable Speaker, I have two supplementary questions. Number one, actually it's like comment. Number one is I would urge the CS, especially to have a desk in his office within the ministry for the young athletes, because sometimes they get invitations to go and run out of the country, but it takes time for them to access or to get the passports. So it is important that you set up a small desk between yourselves and AK, so that they don't miss an opportunity to go and show the talent and make money. So it's important that you have a desk to assist, even if they don't have money. Sometimes we contribute as leaders from those regions to give them money for processing passport. I hope the new fees that were proposed by the CS Kindiki they'll go back to the old rates because of our youth. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I also want the CS to tell us what plans does he have, especially for the athletes who go around outside there. They get maybe token, they make some money, and then after a while, some of them, they don't have knowledge in terms of investments. The ministry should be able to assist in conjunction with the county government so that we can have maybe even partner with local universities or local colleges around the region so that we can impart knowledge in terms of investments, in terms of entrepreneurship, so that they can invest, because this is a seasonal talent. Maybe by the time you are 40, 38 years, or you get an injury, it becomes the end of you in nurturing that talent. So what plans do you have to impart knowledge so that they can do investment and then they can have quality life after retiring?
CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the issue of easing travel for athletes, I want to admit that previously this has been a major challenge for our athletes traveling out of the country. There have been challenges with the processing of passports, processing of visa. But I'm glad to report to the House that the reforms that have been undertaken by this administration in the last 1 year have greatly eased the process of passports. And it's now faster, it's now easier, not just for athletes, for Kenyans generally to access passports. That is something really we must applaud the State Department for Immigration. Honorable Speaker, specifically for sportsmen and women seeking to travel out of the country, the ministry has made itself available to make interventions anytime that is required. Personally, I intervene pretty much on a daily basis. Sometimes I can report to this House, we get passports, visas, processed in a period of 12 to 24 hours. And I really want to acknowledge the incredible work going on at the State Department of Immigration. The Principal Secretary there, Ambassador Bitok, is doing an amazing job. They have been very responsive. Anytime we make a request for a sports person going out of the country and we need a passport accelerated, they have been very responsive. I also want to acknowledge the diplomatic missions located here. The Ministry of Youth Affairs, the Creative Economy and Sports has built a brilliant relationship with all diplomatic missions here. And often as yesterday, you will call an ambassador, even on a weekend, you'll fix an appointment at short notice, and they have really assisted to accelerate issuance of visa. We have not had any situation, any case in the last 1 year where any of our athletes has failed to honor an international obligation, either because of delay in passport or delay in issuance of visa. I want to assure this House that we'll continue to be vigilant, we'll continue to be alert, and we'll continue to be available to support our sportsmen and women to access passports and visa on time. We have also submitted to Cabinet, I can disclose here, we have submitted to Cabinet a request that our top sportsmen and women who really do an amazing job branding this country, marketing Kenya like nothing else does. Indeed, Kenya's top export to the world is our sportsmen and women. They do more to brand Kenya, to market Kenya than anything else. We have requested that they be considered for special issuance of diplomatic visa, access to certain spaces which can ease their movement when they are representing the country. And that is under consideration. On the second question, Honorable Speaker, on athletes and how they manage their finances, it is depressing indeed to see some of the biggest names in our sports suffer greatly in retirement. Last year, among my first acts after being named Cabinet Secretary for Sports was to travel to Kericho to lay to rest the first man to win an Olympic medal for Kenya, Wilson Kiprugut Arap Chumo. And we laid this great Kenyan at the age of 84 after a life in retirement that was truly shameful. And we can say that about many former sportsmen and women who, upon retirement, lead truly difficult lives. We are making interventions, working closely with Athletics Kenya. Among those interventions is a program that we are working out together with the Kenya Commercial Bank, KCB. Under this program, we provide what you can call investment intelligence to sportsmen and women and customized training packages for sportsmen and women on how to manage their finances better, on how to invest better, and also just to be finance savvy and be in a position where they can take better care of their finances. The shelf life of your average sportsman and woman is about 10 years. It's a very short shelf life. Before you know it, the gravity train has stopped and you are at retirement. And so we are using this program to prepare them for that. We are also pleased to inform this House that on the 30th of this month, a few days from today, we'll be launching Kenya's first ever pension scheme for athletes. And so athletes are going to have a pension program where they can put in some resources. Government will also put in some resources to provide a program where after retirement, you'll have some pension benefit, just like any other salaried Kenyan. We have also started a process in the ministry to develop a social security policy for what you can call our veterans, our veteran sportsmen and women. And these will include sensitization of all stakeholders, including athletes and the veterans themselves. And also, honorable senators, we are putting together a program where we can make good use of our retired sportsmen and women. The ongoing Talanta Hela program, for instance, has tapped into retired sportsmen and women as scouts, providing their services as scouts in the program of sporting and developing young talents. And as we do that, we are also honoring our retired sportsmen and women. Earlier this year in August, we hosted the Hongera Awards, where for the first time in the history of this country, we honored our elite legends that have decorated our sports over the years. We have also decided that most of our sporting facilities will be named after these legends. And we'll be starting this Saturday. I can inform this House that this Saturday we have a special ceremony in Kericho to formally, officially rename the Kericho Green Stadium as Kiprugut Chumo Stadium in honor of the late Kiprugut Chumo, the winner of Kenya's first ever Olympics medal. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Next question is question number 71, which will be asked by Senator Omatinga on behalf of Senator Murango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm licensed to ask a question on behalf of Senator of Kirinyaga, who's attending an official visit in Kirinyaga County. Mr. Speaker, sir, may the CS tell us what has occasioned the delay in the completion of the project of the construction of Wanguru International Stadium in Moya constituency in Kirinyaga County, which was launched in 2020? B, could the Cabinet Secretary disclose pending works and state the projected date of completion? And C, what is the total budgeted cost of the project, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide the status of payments to the respective contractors and also disclose the outstanding amount? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I submit that Wanguru International Stadium was one of the 4 legacy projects of the immediate former administration. Now, regarding the delay in the completion of the Wanguru Stadium, I wish to indicate the following: that the project was handed over to the main contractor, VV Enterprises, on the 5th day of August 2020, with the construction commencing on August 12th, that same year, 2020. However, the implementation of the project faced a number of delays due to weather, persistent rainfall, and such factors. We also then that year had to face the COVID-19 pandemic, which had a significant impact on the speed or expedition of delivering that project. But those factors notwithstanding, I'm pleased to inform the House that the stadium has been fully completed according to the scope of works that had been indicated at the commencement of that project. The stadium has been put to use once in a while, and to ensure effective management and utilization of this facility, the ministry is in the process of finalizing a joint management and maintenance framework with the county government of Kirinyaga. We believe that in the next couple of weeks, this framework should be ready for execution between our Sports Kenya agency that manages the facilities. Now, on this segment B of the question on the budget, this project at the time of its commencement was budgeted at 696 million Kenya shillings, 473,751 cents. Additionally, the Ministry of Interior, in coordination of national government, contracted another contractor called Jimro Enterprises at the cost of 176,412,767.50 cents to undertake construction of additional 10 steel stands and electrical installation. The contractor was also required to install a generator at the county commissioner's residence to facilitate the hosting of a garden party during the Mashujaa Day celebrations, which were hosted at this particular stadium in 2021. The decision to contract Jimro Enterprises was occasioned by a presidential directive that year to host Mashujaa Day celebrations at this Wanguru Stadium, noting that the construction works by Vivi Enterprises Limited had faced delays during to what we have indicated as the weather conditions and the impact of COVID. So far, the records indicate that Jimro Enterprises Limited has received payments totaling 170,957,650.80 cents from the Ministry of Interior, because that was contracted directly from by the Ministry of Interior, with an outstanding bill of 5,455,117.50 cents. As for Vivi Enterprises, they have already been paid 679,535,567.23 cents, with an outstanding payment of 16,938,194.15 cents from the State Department of Sports. The records do indicate, Honorable Speaker, Honorable House, that as per the scope of work, this project is concluded, and in fact, in our list of facilities, Wanguru Stadium is available for public use. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Senator, you have a supplementary question? Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and Honorable CS, for that comprehensive answer. My question is, there are several stadiums that have been commissioned by the previous regime, and they lacked a uniform design. One of them is Wanguru, there's one in Embu, there's one in Lorengo, which have all since stalled at different development stage. What is the ministry doing to ensure that moving forward, we have a uniform design that would be easy to oversight, that would be easy to follow up, and most importantly, to control the cost factor, which has been escalating, as it has been the case in Oreguruni? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary, and please, Cabinet Secretary, if you could be brief on the supplementary answers so that we can move faster.
Very, very quickly, just to inform the Honourable Senator that indeed there are a number of stadia that commenced under the previous administration. We have done a quick assessment of those stadia. We have gone further also to subject these projects to a forensic audit just to determine the value for money that was put into these projects. That forensic audit is at a tail end. As soon as that process is concluded, we have every intention to complete every project that has already expended public resources. We don't intend to let any of these projects go to waste. And as far as for standards, I'm pleased to inform this House that the ministry has now developed a sports and creatives infrastructure master plan. We now have a master plan that is very clear on what kind of facility to do at the international level, at a regional level, and at a community level. That master plan will guide all future sports facilities in the country. I submit.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. We'll move on to the question number 72 and 73, which is by the Senator for Kisii County, Senator Richard Wanyonka. Senator Mbugua, on his behalf, you can ask the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 72 on behalf of the distinguished Senator for Kisii, the Honorable Senator Richard Wanyonka. A, what was the total amount of money utilized by the government in organizing and hosting the 2023 World Rally Championship Safari Rally event? And could the Cabinet Secretary provide a breakdown of the expenditure and disclose any funding received from WRC International? And B, could the Cabinet Secretary provide details of the audit findings of the Office of the Auditor General on the utilization of public funds in organizing and hosting the WRC Safari Rally? And C, are there any outstanding bills related to the WRC Safari Rally? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary provide information of the nature of the bills and the projected timelines for their settlement? Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Mbugua, proceed with the next question as well so that the CS can tackle both.
A, could the Cabinet Secretary disclose the total funds received by the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund since July 2022 and indicate how the funds have been expended during the same period? And B, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a list of all the stakeholders, organizations and individuals that have benefited from the grants from the fund, stating the specific purposes for which these funds were allocated to each recipient? Thank you.
Cabinet Secretary, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Straight away to question 772. The WRC Safari Rally is a special project established by Gazette Notice. The 2023 budget for the WRC Safari Rally was Kenya shillings 1,486,369,782, broken down as follows. The Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund was to provide 1,341,369,782, sponsorship from the Kenya Commercial Bank of 100 million, and TV licenses amounting to 45 million. It's important for this Honorable House to note that the 2022 budget, the previous year, for this event was 2.5 billion. And we made effort right from the outset when we took office to cut this budget significantly, and we reduced this budget by close to 1.1 billion shillings, from 2.5 billion to 1.486 billion. The preliminary report from the WRC Safari Rally Project Secretariat indicates that the 2023 budget of 1.48 billion was utilized as follows. And I have provided a summary, Honorable Speaker. I have provided a table where we spent 487,200,000 to the WRC promoter. Normally you pay a subscription fee to the promoter. And so from that budget, 487,200,000 was wired direct to the promoter. The steering and local organizing committee and the secretariat utilized 228,810,692. The event hosting, the actual budget for the event was 770,359,90 shillings. Honorable Speaker, the same preliminary report, I'm calling it a preliminary report because it's under review by the ministry, from the WRC Safari Rally Project Secretariat indicates that there was an over-expenditure of 272,288,582. The ministry has received this preliminary report and is subjecting it to verification for further action. The same preliminary report from the project secretariat indicates that there are pending bills totaling to 338,000,000 762.13 shillings. And we have provided details of those pending bills that is annexed to my submission as Annex C. The ministry is subjecting this report to verification for further necessary action. All returns from the WRC Safari Rally project will be subjected to audit and the reports made public. And that will be done soon as the ministry concludes the verification exercise that is currently ongoing. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Cabinet Secretary, there was question number 73 as well.
Straight on to question number 73, Honorable Speaker. We have provided a table, we have tabulated the funds that have flown into the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund from July 2022. And Honorable Speaker, the tabulation runs from July 2022 to June 2023. And that whole figure in that table with full details provided totals up to 10,427,518,883. The board that manages this fund has approved funding as detailed in Annexure D, but just as a breakdown, 4.7 billion has been disbursed for the promotion and development of sports. 885 million has been disbursed for social development, including the promotion of universal health care. 886 million has been disbursed for the promotion of the arts. The following question is providing a list of organizations and individuals that have benefited from grants. And Honorable Speaker, we have supplied Annexure D, the annex marked as Annexure D, which provides details of all recipients of funding or support from the fund, including federations and public institutions. That is duly provided, Honorable Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Senator Mbugo, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. On question number 73, on the sports, arts, and social development, Mr. Cabinet Secretary, I've gone through the recipients, and it seems that your ministry has prioritized sports and somehow ignored arts and social development, where persons with disabilities would benefit. I would want you to address that on that, as well as comment on the mistreatment of the Special Olympic teams when they went to represent Kenya and they were suffering because they didn't have any proper funding. Thank you.
Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Speaker, I want to assure this House that the ministry has developed a very balanced structure on supporting the whole talent ecosystem. Under the Talanta Hela program, we target to develop talents, to monetize talents across all sports disciplines and across the whole creative sector. It is only in the last 1 year, for instance, Honorable Speaker, that we have put money in theater, we have put money in film, we have put money in schools for talent development. I can disclose to this Honorable House that for the first time in the history of this country, this fund provided 267 million Kenya shillings to support all talents in schools. We funded the Kenya Drama and Film Festival. We funded the Kenya Music Festival. We funded the Kenya Term 2 School Ball Games. All those amazing games you saw in Kakamega, the incredible numbers you saw at Buhungu Stadium, the live broadcast you saw KBC broadcasting the Kenya School Games for the first time in the history of this country, it was because of the funding of 267 million shillings from this fund to support that talent development. In that talent development, there is no discrimination. Indeed, the mantra of the ministry, the mantra of this government led by His Excellency William Samoei Ruto is leaving no one behind. We are leaving no one behind. And with regard to the arts, the creatives, we are very deliberate, we are very intentional, we are very structured in making sure that we invest heavily in the development of the creative economy. You have noticed, honorable senators, that the president has even restructured this ministry. The ministry is now called Youth Affairs, Creative Economy, and Sports. And it is to show deliberate focus on the creatives. And under creatives, we are targeting everything. We are targeting content creators, film, theater, fine art, performing arts, pageantry, fashion. Everything under that creative economy is receiving priority and receiving support. We are even putting money in innovation. Next week, we will be unveiling the Kenya Innovation Week, Commonwealth Edition. And we have invited all the 56 member states of the Commonwealth who will be in Nairobi as part of our effort to promote innovation. And we have also launched the Presidential Innovation Challenge and Award, through which our young people can showcase their innovation. The best innovation will each walk away with 5 million Kenya shillings startup fund. All this supported by this fund. So whether it is innovation or creativity or sports, this fund has an eye on all of them. With regard to what the Honorable Senator is referring to as our Paralympics team, we take very good care of our Paralympics team. We take time to support them. And the team that went to Germany was fully funded by the ministry. When they returned, we organized a special reception hosted by His Excellency the Deputy President, flanked by Engineer Peter Tum, the Principal Secretary in the State Department of Sports. And this is among the teams that received their cash awards on return. They received their cash awards immediately. I'm assuring this House that we have our finger on the pulse of sports and the creatives in this country, and we are doing everything humanly possible to take better care of our sportsmen and women and our creatives, and I have no doubt that we are doing a sterling job at it. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, we are going to allow questions from the floor. But because of time, I think we only have about 15 minutes. For the convenience of this House, I will use order number 34 to extend so that we can go up to 1:15 to ask the questions. I would urge the senators that I call to be very brief with their questions because there are many senators who want to ask questions. Senator Mohamed Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll be very brief. Let me first of all take this opportunity to thank the Minister for his quick action. He flew to Marsabit to look at the stadium in Marsabit, and I think that matter is being sorted out. Yes. I would want, on behalf of Marsabit people, tell you thank you very much. Going back to my question, Mr. Speaker, in Marsabit we have 20 wards in Marsabit County. And each ward will be having tournaments in those wards. We have about 20 teams, about 6 teams in each ward. So, Speaker, what I wanted, the Minister knows very well, Marsabit is prone to banditry attacks and cattle rustling. Drug menace also is there, Mira, and so many things. And I would want to know what the Minister can do to finance those tournaments. And if he's saying yes, who shall we talk to so that we can expedite so that the tournaments can be started as quickly as possible? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. We'll take another question that the CS can answer 2 questions at a time. Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Thank you, Speaker. It's nice to see my good friend, Honorable Babu Namwamba, who, as you know, is my predecessor as the SG of ODM. And although he has once publicly denied knowing me, Kipetero, I still consider him a friend and a political mentor. Bwana CS, in the run-up to the elections in 2017, the then Deputy President made a certain pronouncement on the status of the construction of 9 stadia. I know you have the list that includes Kamarin, the one in Wote, Moyale, Mombasa, Kisumu. Now recently, the country was awarded rights to host, together with our regional neighbors, the 2027 AFCON, which I must say I was pleasantly surprised, because I don't expect much from the current regime. But I was pleasantly surprised that we won that hosting rights. I want to know, now that we got the hosting rights and you announced construction of other stadia for that particular tournament, is it the position of this government that the 9 stadia that were listed, including Kamarin, Wote, Moyale, and the others, are no longer priority for this government, and they are not going to be built to the international standards that were promised back then?
Thank you, Senator. Cabinet Secretary, if you can tackle the 2 questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Senator Chute. I can assure you that we were very happy to come to Marsabit. We had a good time. Thank you for being such a fantastic host to us, together the governor and the leaders of Marsabit. And I'm assuring you that we have made all arrangements necessary to complete Marsabit Stadium. We are really looking forward to complete the works and coming to open Marsabit Stadium. As regards the competitions in the wards, yes, I do agree that Marsabit is among those counties. First of all, Marsabit is an amazing county, beautiful county. It's the cradle of humankind, but it has really not been integrated fully in the talent development program of this country. And I'm pleased to inform you that the Talanta Hela Inter-County program that targets under 19 sports men and women, both boys and girls, will be the answer to this program. And we'll be very happy to sit down with yourself, Senator, through the Principal Secretary, Engineer Peter Tum, who is right here with me, to work out programs how Marsabit can take full advantage of this program. My very good friend and brother and successor as ODM Secretary General is Senator Edwin Sifuna. Of course, I do know you, Senator, through the chair. And Senator, congratulations for the good work you're doing as Secretary General of ODM. I want to assure you, Senator, that this current regime will surprise you big time, pleasantly, by performing beyond your wildest expectation. We have our finger right on the desires of the people of Kenya, and we have a president who is not afraid to lead right from the front, both at home and away, as you saw in the European Parliament just 2 days ago. Quickly to the 2 questions, Honorable Speaker. The stadia that His Excellency President William Ruto made a pronouncement on, stadia that started but then stalled. They include this Marsabit Stadium that we were in Marsabit to inspect. They include Wote in Makueni. They include Kamarin. I want to report to this House that we have visited all the 9 stadia. We have made an assessment of what needs to be done, and I'm assuring this House that completion of this 9 stadia is a top priority for the ministry and for this administration. And so our AFCON commitments notwithstanding, we have placed a priority on completion of this stadia. And just to assure this House also that we have every intention to spread the benefits of international competitions across the country. This Saturday, the 25th, we will be flagging off the CECAFA Under-18 football tournament, bringing together 8 countries across the CECAFA region. And this tournament is being hosted in Kisumu and Kakamega. We have also won the rights to host CHAN, the CHAN Championship, which will be hosted in Nairobi and Kakamega. Right now, the Talanta Hela Inter-County playoffs are happening in Nyeri. And so we are assuring you of spreading the tournaments around and making sure that all Kenyans have a chance to partake of this incredible high trajectory of sports under the leadership of His Excellency William Samoei Ruto.
Thank you, CS. The next 2 questions will be asked by Paul Thangwa on this side and Senator Ole Kina on this side. Very quickly, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would want the CS to elaborate, because he has talked about the Talanta tournament. But my question was, we have World Cup where all over the world teams meet to get to know which one is the best. We have African Cup of Nations. All Africa countries get together to find out which one is the best. What about Kenya Cup? Is this the same thing you're talking about as Talanta, where 47 counties should compete to find out which is the best county? Question number 2. You have talked about the stadiums.
Senator
Kiambu,
Thangwa, please, let's...
Yeah, two. You said 2 questions.
No, one question for you and one question for...
Oh, this is very quick.
Very
I seek
quick.
indulgence. Very quick, Mr. Speaker. Kiambu Kirigiti Stadium. It is all complete. We see it, but it is not open to the public. It is only open for the governor. When he has an event, the governor will do things there. When there's a public event, the governor will do. But the public is not, are not using the stadium. When are you going to hand over and open Kirigiti Stadium?
Thank you. Senator Olekina, very quickly, please, and briefly.
Mr. Speaker, my questions will be very brief and to the point. Cabinet Secretary, it is not enough to say that you are making plans. Article 153(4) requires you to submit regular reports on matters, so I would like to request that you do so. But I have 2 specific questions, and I've jotted them down so that I ask them specifically. One is following up on the question that was asked on behalf of Senator Onyonka on the issue of budgets. And I'd like to know from you, and if you're not able to substantiate now, you can submit to this House, what specific measures are being taken to ensure transparency and accountability in the allocation and utilization of the sports budgets in Kenya? Question number 2, which is also following up on your replies, which I said it's not enough. What specific strategies and initiatives are being implemented to ensure equitable talent development across all 47 counties in Kenya? And how is the Ministry of Sport working to identify and support talented individuals in underrepresented regions? And I ask that knowing that your budget is 6.4 billion.
Thank you, Senator. Cabinet Secretary, very briefly, please, the 2 questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the question of Honorable Senator Thangwa, your Kenya Cup is actually the Talanta Hela Intercounty Cup, which is ongoing. The top 16 counties, we have done this countrywide. We started at the regional level. From the regional level, we have gone to the playoffs. They are concluding in Nyeri this afternoon, actually. After this session, I'm headed straight to Nyeri to close the playoffs. From the playoffs, 4 more teams or 4 more counties will join the 12 regional winners. We split the country into 12 regions. So we already have 12 winners of the 12 regions. They'll be joined by the 4 winners of the playoffs for both boys and girls. And we are going to have our own County World Cup, starting on the 3rd of December to the 12th. The finals will be the showstopper at Jamhuri Day, graced by His Excellency the President himself. So that is really something we are developing in that regard. Kirigiti Stadium in Kiambu is one of our top facilities, constructed and completed. There are certain things that need to be sorted around Kirigiti, and I can inform you really that as we close a number of stadia for preparation for AFCON, Kirigiti has been lined up to be among the stadia that is going to be very, very active, while the rest are closed for AFCON. And once the pending issues are sorted out, including the issue of the track, when they constructed Kirigiti, they used tarmac, they used bitumen on the track, which really was not the right thing to do. And it needs to be removed so that you can have the right material on the track. Once all that is done, Kirigiti will be made available for use by the public. That I can assure you. Honorable Senator Olekina, I want to make a commitment of providing regular reports. Indeed, we will start by our scorecard for the last 1 year. When we submit the extra information we have committed to submit, we'll also include a record of our scorecard for the last 1 year to inform the House of what we have been able to do in the last 1 year. In terms of measures taken on transparency, we have been very deliberate. We have become very thorough. I did inform this House, for instance, that in 2022, The Safari Rally project cost the Exchequer 2.5 billion. We refused to spend a similar amount. We reduced that budget by over 1 billion. And we were able to deliver a rally with a budget less 1 billion, which really tells you about our commitment to reduce budgets, to cut budgets. We have also made it very clear to federations that now they have to follow a procedure where you apply for resources according to the regulations of the sports fund, bring your application 6 months in advance. We are putting together a team to do proper screening of budgets. Among the requirements we have placed on the federations is that if you have any extra funding, if you have any sponsorship, you have to disclose it. And I'm assuring this House that on the question of transparency, on accountability, there is absolutely no compromise. And finally, on equity, the equity really is our Talanta Hela initiative. And it is an initiative which is both physical and virtual. Honorable Speaker, through you, Senator Olekina can go to his Google App Store right now and search Talanta Hela app. Download that app. Any child or any youth in Narok County who believes they can do football, rugby, anything.
It's okay. There's no engagement. Yes,
I'm informing that it's a platform that we have provided that even if you are in the remotest part of this country, you can interact with this program and you can pick your talent.
Thank you.
But we are also sending scouts physically to those places where we may have challenges with access to this app. We will send scouts physically, and we are recruiting some of our top legends from the past to play this role of scout.